And we are live for week 7. How's it going, everyone? Good morning. The first Sunday in a while that we are not on London time. It's going to be a fun Sunday, guys. We got 6 bye weeks this week. Some really, really difficult start-sit decisions. Sam, you're the prop player every week. Yeah, let's get to the player prop, actually, just right out of the gates here for everyone in the YouTube and TikTok Live already, because I have a feeling this line is going to move a lot. It's currently only available on FanDuel. Jackson Smith-Njigba, over 3.5 receptions and over 34.5 receiving yards. I like both of these a lot, so we're going with 2 free player props today for this live stream. JSN, over 3.5 receptions and over 34.5 receiving yards. DK Metcalf is truly questionable to play today. Even if he plays, he's going to be at less than 100%. On top of that, JSN is coming off his best game of the season and really is looking like he's going to have a bigger role coming out of the Seahawks bye week. Pulling up the game logs here. After the bye, he set a career high in snap percentage, career high in route percentage. He didn't have his biggest target day, but he still had 4 catches, 48 yards. He beat this prop last week with DK Metcalf in the lineup. Now he gets a better matchup, a less healthy DK Metcalf. Fire up JSN, over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards. If that line's not up for you yet, it's coming soon. It's going to be a great Sunday, guys. We got Foreman or James Cook question here in the TikTok Live. I think you go James Cook there over Foreman. Let me pull up my running back rankings here. We're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. And I think I have, James Cook here at 16. Foreman's down at 23. I would go James Cook over Foreman. There is, good morning, Kylo. We've been hitting them, celebrating the 33rd B-Day today. Let's get it. Happy birthday to you, Steven. Thanks for tuning in on your birthday. It's going to be a good birthday on a Sunday. Christian Watson or Jordan Addison. This one's tough. I think you absolutely need to be starting Addison, and you need to be starting Christian Watson this week. I'm definitely starting Addison over McLaurin. I've seen that question in the TikTok Live. I'll get to the Commanders-Giants game, but I'm really, really nervous about all pass catchers in that game. Jordan Addison, Christian Watson, 2 of my favorite receivers this week. I actually have them back-to-back in my rankings on the YouTube Live. If you come to the YouTube Live, by the way, if you're watching live on TikTok, we're also live on YouTube. Links right in the TikTok bio. Get my top 25 rankings, every single position. Actually, top 30 for running backs and receivers. And that's free, right in the TikTok bio. It's a better viewing experience, I'm telling you. Let's do this comparison, though, between Watson and Addison. I think I have a slight lean towards Christian Watson just because the matchup is better for Watson. But both these guys are really, really strong options for me this week. Walter has Addison just barely ahead of Watson. Yeah, the ceiling. Look at the ceiling here, though, for Christian Watson. I mean, Christian Watson can win your team this week. That is how high his ceiling is against the Denver Broncos. It's a better matchup for Watson against the Broncos. And we've really only seen one healthy game from Christian Watson this season. I think he's really getting slept on for that reason. And that was last week. And he had 177 air yards. He only caught three of his 7 targets, turned it into 91 yards, no touchdowns. But yeah, his ceiling is just way too high in this game. I think I would lean Christian Watson over Jordan Addison, but I really want to start both these guys pretty strongly this week. Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. Yeah, I got Russ over Deshaun. Deshaun's in a good matchup, a better matchup, I would say, than Russ is. I just don't have, full confidence in Deshaun, having him not seen him play in the last couple of games. Why bench DK? Yeah, so we're benching DK Metcalf because there's a good chance DK Metcalf just straight up doesn't play. He's truly questionable in this one. And even if he plays, he's just not at 100%. I don't see him seeing his full workload today. It has nothing to do with me being concerned about Metcalf, like talent or matchup or anything along those lines. It's really strictly injury-based. You can't be trusting DK Metcalf this week. It's part of the reason I really like the JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba props today. Good morning, Sam. How should I start Gibbs or Aaron Jones? Who should I start, Gibbs or Aaron Jones? 50-yard plus TD bonus. Yeah, I think honestly, to me, Gibbs gets the benefit of the doubt here with the 50-yard plus TD bonus. Jahmyr Gibbs has to be started this week. There's really no way around it. Aaron Jones is a great start, but Aaron Jones is still working back from a hamstring injury. A.J. Dillon is going to work in. Aaron Jones' dream matchup in this spot against the Broncos, but he's just, we can't feel confident he's at 100%. The last time he went out, he tweaked this same hamstring injury. He rushed it back a little bit. So I don't think he's going to see, 20 touches in this game. I think 10 to 15 touch range likely for Aaron Jones today. I think Gibbs probably out touches him. And yeah, we're due, guys. We're due for a 50-plus yard Jahmyr Gibbs play. I think it's only a matter of time until Jahmyr Gibbs, one of the fastest players in the NFL, rips off a big play. We really haven't seen it yet this season. Good morning, Sam. Hope all is well. You as well, Kyle. Good morning to everybody in the live. We are just getting started here. today, do you like Goff over Kirk, and do you like Gabe Davis over Flowers PPR? Also, what is the DraftKings lineup? Yeah, I'll get to the DraftKings lineup in just a second. I think I don't like Goff over Kirk. Yeah, I think I have Goff at 16 and Kirk at 15. And I'll get to the weather. Let's get to the weather before I get to my DraftKings lineup, because there was significant weather projections on Thursday night, and some of those have come to fruition and some of those haven't. So let's just do a quick weather update here. A Weatherman Sam early here in this morning. Let me make this not scroll. The Commanders and Giants and the Lions and Ravens games. These are the two games with significant wind. There's going to be significant wind in Commanders at Giants and Lions at Ravens. Sustained winds in the 15 to 20 mile an hour range. That's not overly concerning. It's not great. It's not overly concerning, but there is going to be wind gusts 25 to 30 miles an hour. That is very concerning. So I want nothing to do with Sam Howell. I want nothing to do with Tyrod Taylor. I want nothing to do with Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas, really all the pass catchers in the Commanders offense. I'm very, very nervous about. Specifically, and most importantly, Terry McLaurin. I don't think he can be very trusted this week. On the Giants side of the ball, Jalen Hyatt, no thank you to him. Wan'Dale Robinson, I think, can do fine still, but not as excited about him this week. Same thing goes with Darren Waller. For the Lions, you still got to start Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jahmyr Gibbs needs to be started this week with no David Montgomery. Craig Reynolds banged up. Sounds like Jahmyr Gibbs is in the 20-touch range this week from everything that Dan Campbell has said, so he still needs to be started. Amon-Ra St. Brown still needs to be started. Sam Laporta probably still needs to be started for you with the tight end landscape, but that game is going to be lower scoring than people expect. It's going to be hard to throw the ball. And then for the Ravens, on the Ravens side of the ball, Zay Flowers, I do think gets a small bump down, but he's definitely still startable. Same thing with Mark Andrews. I think Lamar's passing projection gets a small bump down, but his rushing projection honestly might get a small bump up. So Lamar definitely can still be started. But yeah, I'm very nervous about Jared Goff in this one. I would start a lot of quarterbacks over Jared Goff this week for this reason. I would start Joshua Dobbs over Goff. I would start Desmond Ridder, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford. I'm starting all these guys over Goff this week because that is going to be a tough game to throw in with the wind. Otherwise, Goff, good option, but in a tough game environment this week. Howell or Mayfield? Yeah, I do not want to start Baker Mayfield against the Falcons. They've had a pretty good secondary this season. I honestly like the Baker Mayfield's unders a decent amount in this one. Let me pull up the numbers here for the Atlanta Falcons. They ranked 19th against quarterbacks this season. Only one quarterback, not a single quarterback has gone over 21 points against the Falcons. They've all been in like the 15 to 20 range. So decent floor, I would say, for Baker, but really no ceiling at all for Baker Mayfield in this matchup with the Falcons. So don't love him. But yeah, actually, going back to this start sit specifically, I would start Mayfield over Sam Howell because you can't start Sam Howell in this win game. Absolutely not. Sam Howell cannot be started. Happy tight end day. Let me pull up the tight end rankings. It is tight end day. And on tight end day, we don't even get George Kittle playing on tight end day, but he's absolutely a must start this week with no Deebo Samuel this week and Christian McCaffrey questionable. Fire up George Kittle with a ton of confidence. Travis Kelce, Hawkinson, Andrews, Kittle. Those are my top four this week. I think there's a big drop off from the top four to the next two, and then just like huge steep drop off from there. But yeah, Kelce, Hawkinson, Andrews, Kittle, Goddard, Laporta, Musgrave, Waller, Pitts. That's my top 9 this week. I do think Musgrave is my favorite sleeper tight end of the week. He's coming off really his best game of the season, and he has a dream matchup here against the Broncos. Najee or Terry in the flex. Yeah, you can't trust Terry in a heavy wind game. I don't know how you can trust Sam Howell, how you can trust Terry McLaurin. I think both those guys need to be benched this week. I'm playing Russell Wilson over Baker. You can start Aaron Jones. It's definitely like a little risky, but he definitely can be started. And I would play Zay Flowers, Kylo, over Gabe Davis. I'm definitely going Zay over Gabe despite the wind. I think Gabe Davis can have a big game against the Pats. The Pats are good at shutting down top receivers, not so good at shutting down anything else really for the Pats defense this year. And Gabe Davis definitely can benefit from the focus on Steph Diggs today. Morning, Sam. Hope you're having a great day. You as well. Enrique. Hope everyone in this live is having a great day. Pick 3 if you don't mind. Barkley, Madison, Eckler, or Gibbs. Yeah, you got to bench Madison. Bench Madison. Definitely you're starting Austin Eckler. He's my number 1 running back this week. Let me put the running back rankings here. Gibbs is in the top 10 for the first time this week. And Barkley, I think, is in the top 10 too. So you get 3 top 10 options here. Madison's outside the top 10. He should see decent volume still, but just not a great matchup for him against the 49ers. Purdy or Herbert. Yeah, you got to be starting Justin Herbert this week. I'm all in on Herbert this week. Rashee Rice over James Cook. That one's pretty close. If that's a PPR league, I'm honestly fine going with Rashee Rice over James Cook. James Cook is honestly kind of teetering right now. Latavius Murray started last week and saw similar touch volume to James Cook. There's no Damian Harris this week. We should see a decent amount of running for the Bills against the Pats, but I'm okay going Rashee Rice over James Cook. Rashee Rice breakout game is definitely imminent. Rashee Rice versus Deontay Johnson, that one's a close one. I think I would lean Deontay in a PPR format there. I do think Deontay is going to be back to full steam this week. I'm not too worried about him coming off the injury. He had plenty of time to heal up. Craig Reynolds versus any running backs under 50% rostered. Yeah, I really don't want to start Craig Reynolds at all. I think Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson are decent starts ahead of Craig Reynolds. They're both probably under 50% owned. Still, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to lead the Lions. Backfield, Craig Reynolds dealing with injuries. I think there's a super, super low floor there. Obviously, there's a low floor with Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson, too. By the way, RIP to Zach Evans, rookie running back for the Rams, who was the only running back that has been active in past games that is active today for the Rams. And it sounds like he's maybe not going to touch the ball like at all. We'll see how truthful that ends up being. But Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson, kind of coming off the street or the practice squad and playing ahead of you, bad sign there for Zach Evans. Okay. What's up, Big Sam? What's going on, man? PPR, Nacua, Lockett, or more. Pick one, please. Yeah, it's got to be Puka Nacua today. And I like Lockett a lot, too, with DK Metcalf trending towards the wrong side of questionable. But yeah, Puka Nacua is still a top 8 option for me this week. And he had a 33% target share last week. I think last week was a good sign for him. A second straight good sign week alongside Cooper Kupp, still seeing significant volume. Good matchup for him against the Steelers. I think Lockett's ceiling is really high, but Puka's floor is higher and his ceiling is similar. Howell or Kirk Cousins? You can't start Sam Howell. You can't start Jared Goff this week. They're both playing in games with sustained wind around 20 miles an hour and wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. Hey, Sam, is starting Rashee Rice over Jacoby crazy? It's a little bit crazy. You're definitely wish casting, I think, a tiny, tiny bit. But, you're also going with Patrick Mahomes over Brian Hoyer. And, that's not crazy to me at all. I think that's honestly extremely logical. And I think Jacoby and Devontae Adams, I'm more concerned about Jacoby than Devontae Adams. I am buying into, the complaining that Devontae Adams is doing. I think that's going to drive significant targets to Devontae this week. Jacoby's going to project better. He just is. He's had a, way, way, way better season than Rashee Rice, but now he's playing with Brian Hoyer. Rashee Rice has the better matchup. Rashee Rice is the one, trending up. I don't think you're crazy for starting Rashee Rice over Jacoby. I don't think I would do it personally, but you're shooting for the ceiling here if you're doing this. And I do think Rashee Rice has a higher ceiling than Jacoby Myers this week, just given the game environments. That Chargers-Chiefs game is definitely the game I'm most excited for this week, along with the Eagles versus the Dolphins. Going to be a fun one. Do you like Brian Robinson this week? Also, what about Lockett? I do like Brian Robinson this week, for similar reasons why I don't like Sam Howell in that entire passing attack. Again, there's going to be significant wins in that Commanders game. I'm going to restart the TikTok live 1 second. I'm having a little bit of lag. There's going to be significant wins in that Commanders game, and that's not good for the passing attack, but it's not necessarily bad for the rushing attack. I think Brian Robinson can easily get to 20 carries in this game. So yeah, I do like it. I'm just turning on the TikTok live. Sorry if I'm poking the screen here on the YouTube live. Yeah, and Lockett's a good spot too. I have Lockett at my number 12 wide receiver here on the YouTube live wide receiver rankings. Will DK play? Terry, Moore, Pickens, and DK pick 3. I personally, right now, if you make me choose, I don't think DK is going to play. There's definitely a chance he plays. I'd say it's like 60-40 he doesn't versus he does. But if he does, I still don't really want to trust him. I'm not playing Terry McLaurin over him, though. I think you got to look for other options over Terry. I think DJ Moore and Pickens is fine. Over DK, definitely playing DJ Moore here. But yeah, I'm nervous about DK. And if he doesn't play, you might have to start Scary Terry in this one. All right, let me pull the DraftKings lineup. We had a good DraftKings lineup last week, just barely a couple players off from a huge, huge week with the DraftKings tournament lineup last weekend. I'm feeling pretty good about this one overall. Let me talk through it. Let me talk through what I would tweak if you're gonna build off this DraftKings lineup. We're now 7 weeks in, and I'm building tournament lineups. In tournament lineups, you want to give yourself a chance at first place because the payout structure is so steep. So I'm 2-7 in cashing in tournaments. 2-6. So 33%, not terrible honestly for tournaments and how many people are in those. This week, I'm feeling pretty good about it. So I'm stacking Jordan Love with Christian Watson and Luke Musgrave. I really like this build to start. Jordan Love's price just way too low, coming off the bye against the Broncos. Christian Watson back to full health. He's priced too low, and Luke Musgrave also priced just way too low in this matchup. Aaron Jones is back this week, but he's still not at full strength. I think both these guys can have all three of these guys can have huge weeks. I think Jordan Love has QB1 in his range of outcomes on the main slate, and Christian Watson does too at the wide receiver position. I think that's how high their ceilings are. I really like Luke Musgrave and his ability to be a top 5 tight end this week too. So I'm starting out my DraftKings lineup, stacking Jordan Love, Christian Watson, and Luke Musgrave. I'm going a little bit bold. I'm not running it back with any Broncos players. I think you can consider running it back with one of the Broncos players, whether that be Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, or even Marvin Mims, who I do think could be more involved this week. I don't hate any of that. Even Javonte Williams, I think, is in play to run it back, but I'm not running it back right now against the Packers. I'm going with Jerome Ford. Kareem Hunt is highly questionable in this game. It currently sounds like Kareem Hunt is not going to play. That's huge for Jerome Ford in a plus matchup against the Colts. Kenneth Walker, there's no Charbonnet this week, most likely. That doesn't even matter that much. Kenneth Walker's already dominating the touches. Really great matchup for him here against the Cardinals. I'm going with Puka Nacua, who I think is being slept on. I definitely think he can be a top 5 wide receiver any given week still with the volume he's seeing in a good matchup against the Steelers. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I'm all in on him. He's the free player prop of the day, by the way. Over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards for JSN is the free player prop. Really like the value we're getting there with JSN, with DK Metcalf. Highly questionable to play. And even if he plays, he's going to be at less than 100%. I don't really love stacking Kenneth Walker and JSN. I don't feel great about that. I think that's one thing I would look into tweaking, but I do really like the price for JSN. I don't expect him to be that highly owned, and I don't think that many people will stack Kenneth and JSN. So you are getting some interesting differentiation there, I think, by playing both of them. Keenan Allen, I think, is such a high floor, high ceiling option in this game against the Chiefs. You absolutely need a piece of this Chargers-Chiefs game. I'm getting it with Keenan Allen, and I'm going with the Giants defense in a windy game against Sam Howell, one of the most sacked QBs of all time. He's on a record pace, in sacks this season. So I really like the Giants defense in that win game too on DraftKings. Yo, Sam, in a full PPR format, Rachaad White, Zach Evans, Javonte Williams. Yeah, so we absolutely cannot start Zach Evans. Do not start Zach Evans. Zach Evans might not touch the ball today, legitimately. There's obviously a wide range of outcomes for the Rams in their backfield today. Who knows if what Sean McVay is saying is even at all accurate. He could easily be just sending people in the wrong direction. There's no incentive for Sean McVay to be honest about how he's going to use the running backs this week. But all the reports out there are that Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson are going to lead this backfield. So yeah, I would go, let's see actually what my running backs rankings say here, because it's definitely between Rashad and Javonte. Javonte is startable for sure this week. And yeah, actually, wow, I have these guys back to back here in my running back rankings. And I do have Javonte one spot ahead of Rachaad White. Jacoby Myers or Rashee Rice. Yeah, Jacoby Myers is the safer play. He's the higher floor play. It feels weird to me to say that when his quarterback's Brian Hoyer today. Guys, Brian Hoyer is starting. Brian Hoyer has not had a game over 210 passing yards since 2017. It's 2023, guys. That was 6 years ago. Brian Hoyer is by far the oldest quarterback in the league. He is Tom Brady's age, guys. So it feels weird to say that Jacoby Myers' floor, is higher than Rashee Rice's floor, given that, Rashee Rice, he's catching passes from Patrick Mahomes in his prime, and Jacoby Myers is catching passes from Brian Hoyer, who's older than most coaches in the NFL, or than a lot of coaches in the NFL. But yeah, the floor is a little bit higher for Jacoby. I'm okay going with Rashee Rice over Jacoby, though. Honestly, I am. I actually might update the wide receiver rankings here a bit to reflect this. I do think Rashee Rice is a good start today. I do. This game is going to be extremely high scoring. Rashee Rice has been the best wide receiver on the Chiefs, obviously not counting Kelsey, technically a tight end, but really technically wide receiver also. But yeah, I do like Rashee Rice over Jacoby Myers. I'm fine with that. Don't start DK Metcalf. He might not even play, and he's not at 100%. Definitely you're starting Justin Herbert over Brock Purdy. Love the app, Sam. PPR, CMC, or Ford. Will CMC even play? Yeah, glad there's a Christian McCaffrey question here, because Christian McCaffrey might play. At the beginning of the week when we updated our projections in the WalterPicks app, we had CMC projected out for 3 games, including this week, and then 2 more games before the bye week. Or maybe it was 2 games, and then the bye week. I think their bye week's week 9. So week 7, week 8, we projected him to sit. And yeah, he got in a limited practice yesterday. I think there's a decent chance CMC plays. And in a situation like this, Liam, I think you got to start Jerome Ford over Christian McCaffrey. It feels weird. I actually had like a gross taste in my mouth, making the running back rankings this morning, and where Christian McCaffrey ended up, being in these running back rankings. But I knew there was going to be some CMC questions, and he is truly questionable. I'd put him at like 50-50, honestly, on Monday night to play. And even if he plays, you got to expect his workload to be scaled back at least a little bit, coming off multiple injuries and an oblique injury. So yeah, I'm starting Jerome Ford over Christian McCaffrey. I have Jerome Ford as a top 8 running back option. Kareem Hunt is not at 100%. He is likely not going to play today, and it's a good matchup for Jerome Ford too. So yeah, go Jerome Ford over CMC. I have an option, in one of my leagues, I'm going CMC over Cortland Sutton. I think that's the type of spot where I'm okay risking it with Christian McCaffrey and picking up a guy like, say, Juwan Johnson or Ray McLeod, to plug in for CMC if he doesn't end up being able to play. Elijah Mitchell would be the preferred, handcuff to CMC if you can get him, but he's not available in a lot of leagues at this point. James Cook, Rachaad White, or Deontay Foreman. Oh, God, yeah, these are 3 really sketchy running backs. I got my running back ratings up on the screen right now, and let me actually pull these up myself because I think that these guys are all really close. I know James Cook, Rachaad White. I got James Cook ahead of Rachaad White. I got Rachaad White ahead of Deontay Foreman. So I would rank them in this order, Brett. I would go James Cook, then Rachaad White, then Deontay Foreman. Guys, we're live on TikTok and we're live on YouTube. On the YouTube Live, you get my top 25 rankings, every single position. I actually have 35 wide receivers and 30 running backs, I think. Actually, 40 receivers, 30 running backs ranked on the YouTube Live, completely free. Link is right in the TikTok bio if you're watching live on TikTok. It's going to get to a lot of the start sits I can't get to. Terry McLaurin or DK Metcalf. Yeah, I want nothing to do with either of these guys today. Scary Terry's playing in a game with significant wind. 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds, 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts in that Commanders-Giants game. I don't feel good about Terry McLaurin given that. DK Metcalf, though, literally might not play. He's highly questionable in this game, and even if he plays, I don't think he's going to be 100%. We could be at a Deebo Samuel type must-bench situation where Deebo was out there as a decoy. We could see that for DK Metcalf today if he plays. So I think I lean Terry over DK, but it's close. Morning, Sam. I won last week because of you. Let's go. Let's try it again. Jordan Addison or Tyler Lockett, and also Jerome Ford or Mostert. Yeah, so you have to start Mostert, I think, over Ford, even though Ford has a good matchup. Ford has better projected volume, I think, this week in a better matchup. But yeah, Mostert's just, he's leading the league in touchdowns. This game tonight between the Dolphins and Eagles, as good as the Eagles have been against running backs, is projected to be so high scoring. Mostert is going to catch passes. I lean Mostert over Ford, but both are good options. And then Jordan Addison versus Tyler Lockett is a really, really tough one for me. I really want to start Jordan Addison, but I have Lockett over Addison as well this week, with DK Metcalf just not going to be himself this week if he even plays. So yeah, you got to go Tyler Lockett. You got to go Raheem Mostert, but all 4 of these options are pretty strong in my opinion. All right, real quick, what would you tweak in the DFS lineup if you wanted to? Yeah, so the one thing I would consider tweaking here in my DraftKings lineup, Kylo, is stacking Kenneth Walker and Jackson Smith-Njigba. I don't love stacking running backs and receivers on the same team. Those are a little bit of an anti-correlation there. I would probably tweak JSN rather than Kenneth. I would maybe look at running it back with someone on the Broncos because I'm going with a heavy Packers stack here. Marvin Mims, Jerry Jeudy would be the 2 I would strongly consider to run it back. I don't think anyone is going to be playing either of those guys this week, and I think their ceiling are a lot higher than people realize. But that's the one thing I would tweak the most of this DraftKings lineup today is I don't love stacking Kenneth and JSN, even though I do really like both of them this week. Start 1, Josh Downs, Rashee Rice, or Curtis Samuel. Yeah, the answer here is Rashee Rice. The answer this week is Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is starting to ball, guys. Let me pull it up on the YouTube Live. Again, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. We're live on TikTok and YouTube. On the YouTube Live, it's a better viewing experience because I can share my screen and you get my top 25 rankings every position scrolling at the bottom of the screen. It's going to answer so many of the start sits that I can't get to. So come to the YouTube Live. Links right in the TikTok bio if you're watching live on YouTube. If you are watching live on YouTube, guys, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. But let me pull up the Rashee Rice game logs here. This is from the WalterPicks app, by the way. Best way you can support me is downloading the free WalterPicks app, which I've helped build over the last 3.5 years. But yeah, Rashee Rice coming off by far. He's starting to heat up, guys. Rashee Rice, yeah, by far his best game of the season. He had 72 yards on 4 catches, no touchdown last week for Rashee Rice, so it wasn't his best fantasy game. But with the production for Rashee Rice, he's being targeted, guys, on over a third of his routes. So he's only out there for 50% of the snaps. He only ran 22 routes, but he's getting targeted, 25, 30% of his routes every single week. So that means if his playing time goes up, the ceiling goes up pretty dramatically for Rashee Rice if he continues to be the best receiver for the Chiefs. He's been the most productive wide receiver for the Chiefs. And now he gets a dream matchup against the Chargers, who have been horrible against receivers this season in one of the highest projected scoring games of the week. Yeah, I go Rashee Rice in a lot of spots. I think he's definitely a decent upside play this week. Tua or Purdy? Yeah, you got to go Tua over Purdy. I think it's still Tua. Let me pull up my QB rankings here on the YouTube Live. Again, we're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. Guys, shout out to every single person in this live stream. I appreciate you all so much. I am going to get to thousands of start sit questions on this live. Literally over the next 3 hours, we're going to get to 1,000 start sit questions. That's my goal every single Sunday morning. If I can't get to your start sit question though, if you come to the YouTube live, which is in the TikTok bio, you get my top 25 rankings every single position. That's going to answer a lot of start sits. And also the WalterPicks app is going to help you a lot as well. That's free as well in the TikTok bio. Okay. Why is Moss a sit? Because Moss, this is the week, guys, that Jonathan Taylor is going to be the guy you need to start rather than Zach Moss. Zach Moss, his touches, his role is going downwards. He's been really efficient, but this is also a really bad matchup for the Colts today. The Browns are one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the entire NFL. If DK Metcalf doesn't play, would you start Deontay Johnson or Sutton? I'm playing Deontay Johnson over DK Metcalf, even if DK Metcalf starts, even if he plays, because I don't think DK Metcalf is going to be at 100%. I'd rather start Deontay Johnson over DK Metcalf. I'm not a Giants fan, but that game does have significant wind projections, sustained winds. Weatherman Sam is here to help you guys. And the wind matters. It's really hard to throw in significant wind. And we have significant wind in 2 games today. The Giants and the Commanders game has significant wind. The Ravens and Lions game has significant wind. So yeah, no thank you to Sam Howell. No thank you to Jared Goff and those passing attacks for that reason. Amon-Ra, the elite guys, they still need to be started. Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, they need to be started. Jahmyr Gibbs, Lamar can still be started. I think Zay Flowers is still an okay start. Andrew still needs to be started. But, the Commanders are not elite enough to start any of those guys. Sam Howell, nope. Terry McLaurin, nope. Jahan Dotson, he's on the waiver wire in a lot of leagues. I added him off the waiver wire in one of my leagues this morning. He can't be started, though, this week. Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas, all these guys are super, super, super risky in this game with significant wind. And that's why I like the Giants defense as a flyer this week and why I'm playing them in my DraftKings lineup. Deshaun Watson or Sam Howell? Yeah, I'm going Deshaun over Howell for that wind reason. So yeah, we got to talk about Christian McCaffrey. We got to talk about it. This is one of the harder start sits, I think, of the week is what do you do with Christian McCaffrey? And the more I think about it, the more I lean towards benching Christian McCaffrey if you can. But there's definitely spots where it makes sense to start him. I put him right now at a true 50-50 to play Monday night. So it's a really difficult decision. There's a real chance Christian McCaffrey does not play. And absolutely, if Christian McCaffrey plays, he's not going to see the full role that he usually sees. The 49ers, guys, they have 2 games until the bye. They are going to want McCaffrey at 100% after that bye week. So I think it makes a lot of sense for them to bench him this week. And again, it makes a lot of sense, even if he plays, for him to get maybe half, 75% of his role. Half of the Christian McCaffrey role, though, guys, is still a top 15 running back in PPR leagues. Like, absolutely it is. He can score a touchdown, still get 5 catches, still get 100 yards in literally half his role. So he's definitely startable if he plays, but he plays Monday night. So it's a super tough decision. I have him ranked at running back 14 right now for this reason. I'm starting Brian Robinson over CMC. I'm starting Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jerome Ford, all over Christian McCaffrey this week. Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, everyone in the top 5, Bijan, Raheem Mostert, DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Walker, Austin Eckler. I think they all need to be started over CMC this week. Guys like Jordan Addison, Brandon Ayuk, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba even. I would start these guys over Christian McCaffrey too. It's when you get to the fringe, like risky flex plays, guys like DK Metcalf even, guys like Mike Evans, I think you can consider starting CMC over. Guys like Cortland Sutton, I'm starting CMC over Sutton in one of my flex spots. And if you have CMC in your lineup, put him in the flex spot and make sure you have someone else in that Monday night game on your roster because there's a real chance he doesn't play. For me, I think I added Juwan Johnson off the waiver wire so I could get him in the flex slot if CMC doesn't play. Ideally, you get Elijah Mitchell, but you can also get someone else from the Vikings, whether that be Brandon Powell, maybe that's probably the only guy, honestly, available for the Vikings. But yeah, I think if you have Jordan Addison too, that's a great backup option. Aaron Jones is startable today for sure, but he is coming off the hamstring injury. It's just a dream matchup for Aaron Jones though. So absolutely he can be started. I would just temper expectations a bit for Aaron Jones coming off the hamstring injury. Deshaun Watson or Russ? I think I have Russ one spot ahead of Deshaun. Let's do this comparison actually in the WalterPicks app too, because I really don't want to start Deshaun, but he does have a decent matchup. Yeah, it's a better matchup for Deshaun than it is Russ. He gets the Colts, who are allowing the 25th most. They rank 25th. They rank against quarterbacks. The Packers rank 5th against QBs, and they should have Jair Alexander in this game too. Deshaun should run more, I think, than Russ. But Russ has, been much more reliable this season. Actually, points per game, Deshaun is beating Russ. Oh God, yeah. I think we have to. I'm going to bump Deshaun over Russ here in these rankings. I think it does make sense to start Deshaun over Russ. I disagree with Walter on this one. It's definitely a little bit sketchy to be starting Deshaun just with his weird injury this season, but yeah, I think you go Deshaun over Russ, just given the matchups. Love the app. Thanks, man. Yeah, the best way you guys can support me is checking out the WalterPicks app, which is free. It's in the YouTube description. It's in the TikTok bio. It's completely free. It's going to help you with your start sits and your trades tremendously. Palmer, Laporta, Elijah Moore, thanks. Yeah, so if you guys have been watching me for any amount of time, you know I don't like starting two tight ends. And I definitely don't like starting two tight ends when the second tight end, Laporta, he's going to be your second tight end that you're starting here in the flex spot. He's playing in a game that has significant wind today. 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds, wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. That's not great for Sam Laporta. It doesn't hurt him as much as it hurts a guy like Josh Reynolds who runs some deeper routes. But I do think that I would probably lean Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore over Sam Laporta because of that. Do I start Zay Flowers even with the wind forecasted in that game? Yeah. So there's two sides to every start sit, of course. So it depends who you're starting Zay Flowers over. I still have Zay Flowers kind of high up here in the wide receiver rankings this week. Despite the wind, I have him ranked 21st. I'm starting Jackson Smith and Jigba over him. I'm starting Drake London over him, Michael Pittman, Marquise Brown, Devontae Smith, Christian Watson, Jordan Addison. Starting all those guys over Zay Flowers this week. And it is because of the wind that I knocked him down in the rankings. The Ravens-Lions game, 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds, 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That's not good for Zay Flowers. It means Zay Flowers really can't get very many accurate deep targets in this game. But we also know Zay Flowers is extremely dynamic with the ball in his hands and can turn a catch at the line of scrimmage into a huge play. So I still think he's startable. I'm not starting him over Amari Cooper, though. Definitely not. Terry McLaurin cannot be trusted this week. I lean McLaurin over Metcalf just because I don't think Metcalf's going to play. Musgrave or Waller. Oh, yeah, that one's super, super close. And I actually have Luke Musgrave one spot ahead of Darren Waller. It feels kind of gross, but that Giants game has bad wind. It has bad wind in that game. 20 miles an hour, 30 mile an hour, 20 sustained winds at 20 miles an hour, wind gusts at 30 miles an hour. So, yeah, I lean Musgrave in a dream matchup against the Broncos. I really do like Luke Musgrave a lot today. Deontay Johnson or Josh Downs, I would go Deontay Johnson. Dallas Goedert can definitely be started. Mahomes or Purdy, we're definitely going Mahomes. What's your creator code? My creator code is Sam. My name is Sam. Creator code Sam. If you're downloading the WalterPicks app, use creator code Sam. I do appreciate that. That is a good way to support me. A flex, CMC or drop Mason for Rice, standard. Yeah, so this one's close, Jordan. Yeah, in a standard league, I think you flex CMC and you hold on to Mason. I'm fine with that here. Sam, give a 5-star review. Thanks, man. Royce Freeman or Zach Moss? Oh, just disgusting here, Ryan. And appreciate you coming into the live. Appreciate everyone in the live right now. Royce Freeman is not a guy I want to start at all, but I think him versus Zach Moss is a really tough call. I want to see what Walter says about this one. I mean, Zach Moss has been great this season, but the role for Jonathan Taylor is only increasing, which means the role for Zach Moss is only decreasing. Royce Freeman is just not a guy I think you can start, though. Yeah, it's Zach Moss. I mean, Royce Freeman is not good. Guys, he's not good. He's really not. He's probably going to lead the Rams in carries today. Darrell Henderson, absolutely, though, is a better receiving back than him. Zach Evans definitely can still mix in. I'm going Zach Moss over Royce Freeman, despite the tough matchup for Zach Moss. And I don't think Zach Moss is a great start in general. What should we expect from Jeff Wilson tonight? Hudson, good question here about Jeff Wilson. First game of the season for Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert going into the season were seen as the top two running backs on this team. And then, Achane breaks out. He's on IR now. I think we see a decent amount of Jeff Wilson. I think we see maybe 35% of the work go to Jeff Wilson, 65% to Raheem Mostert. I have to sit one of the four. Brandon Ayuk or the Bazooka, Keenan Allen, Rashee Rice, or Jalen Waddle. You got to sit Rashee Rice here. You're not playing Rashee Rice over Brandon Ayuk. You're not playing Rashee Rice over Keenan Allen. And you're definitely not playing over Jalen Waddle either. All three of those guys are top 7 receivers in my wide receiver rankings. I got Keenan Allen at number 3, Ayuk at number 6, and I have Waddle at number 7. Start all those guys for sure. A Palmer or Rice. Yeah, that one's really close. I would argue that Palmer is maybe a little bit safer than Rice. But yeah, I'm going Rashee Rice over Josh Palmer. And I'm willing to risk it with Rashee Rice because I think the ceiling is high enough. Ayuk or London, got to be Ayuk with no Debo. Wait for CMC or start Ford? Yeah, so I'm starting Ford over CMC with the risk of CMC not playing. Drop alerts for Musgrave. I don't even know what that means, but I definitely think Musgrave should be started this week. Ian Rappaport saying he's got a little Patriots news at the top of the hour. Oh, God, I'm not sure what that means, but probably is not good. McCole Hardman should be playing for the Chiefs today. We're going to get to see Tyson Bagent start today. I don't know if any of you heard anything about the story of Tyson Bagent, but definitely excited to see him. Division II. He was the best quarterback in maybe Division II history. So really excited to see him and how he does. Can you just pull up picks for spread, please? Thank you. Yeah, I got the picks versus the spread. I have a couple that I like the most. This week, we are 46 and 48 against the spread. I'm transparent about my spread picks. I give them every week. I don't bet on the spreads. They're so hard to beat. But there's a few spreads that I do like the most this week. And I think my favorite one is the Packers, -1 against the Broncos. I do think the Packers will beat the Broncos today. I think that's my favorite spread of the day. And there's a lot of underdogs I like against the spread this week too. I'm going with Ford over Pacheco with Kareem Hunt, unlikely to play or be at 100% today. I'm going Ford over DK Metcalf easily. DJ Moore still should be started over Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm going Jackson Smith and Jigba over Curtis Samuel. I'm going JSN over Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Jahan Dotson. All of them. There's significant wind projected in that Commanders game. Waller or Goddard? Yeah, I would go Goddard over Waller today. Titans legend Julio Jones playing tonight. Yeah, I don't know if he'll actually play, Kylo, but yeah, he is active, which is pretty cool. I'm happy to see him back in the NFL. Julio Jones has the most receiving yards of any receiver that's currently on an NFL roster in their careers. Julio Jones, for sure, Hall of Fame player. Hey, Sam, I'm new to fantasy and need your help. I got you. Pick 2, Metcalf, London, Rice, Godwin, or Pittman in a half PPR league. Yeah, so you can't start DK Metcalf this week because he might not play. And even if he plays, he's not going to be 100%. So we got to find other options than DK Metcalf. Drake London is a decent option here. Rasheed Rice, Godwin, Pittman, all these guys are decent options. Let me pull up the wide receiver rankings here to help us out. I think that Michael Pittman has to be started and Drake London has to be started. Yeah, I would go Pittman and London over Rice and Godwin. I would go Godwin over Rice also. Rice is just under Godwin for me. I'm starting Deontay Johnson over Rasheed Rice, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans over Rasheed Rice. I am a little bit nervous about Mike Evans. I still am in my top 25 wide receivers, but I'm nervous and think you should try to find other options than Mike Evans if you can. I'm actually going to move Evans down. Actually, I think he makes sense here at 22. But yeah, Mike Evans, I'm a little bit nervous against this Falcons secondary. But yeah, I would go Pittman and London here for you in a half PPR league. Sam, what's the prop of the day? I actually have 2 props of the day for you, and I can almost guarantee these lines are going to move. And this was literally just 30 minutes ago. This was the line. Jackson Smith and Jigba over 3.5 receptions. FanDuel was giving us plus odds on this prop at the beginning of this live stream. I don't think that's going to stick for very long. I also like Jackson Smith and Jigba over 34.5 receiving yards. Lock this one in, guys. We are 9-4 in the free player props in the stream. I got 2 for us today. DK Metcalf is not at 100%. He is a good chance not to play today. Even if he plays, he is not at 100%. I don't expect him to see full volume. And even if DK Metcalf was at 100%, I think these lines are pretty solid for JSN, who's coming off his best game of the season, his best usage of the season. And there's a lot of information out there that with the starting left tackle back for the Seahawks, they were able to run more 11 personnel. That meant more JSN on the field, 70% snap share for JSN. He saw his highest average depth of target of the season last week. And 4 catches, 48 yards. He beat this prop last week in a much tougher matchup against the Bengals with a healthier DK Metcalf. So yeah, JSN over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards is my favorite player props of the day. We're playing Jerome Ford in almost all spots. All right, we got a TikTok live subscriber here with a question. I will get to all TikTok live subscribers' questions always. Sam, how do you feel about Hollywood Brown today in place of CMC in the flex PPR? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. A CMC is truly, truly questionable. So if you have a decent option with CMC, a guy like Jerome Ford, a guy like Marquise Brown against the Seahawks. Marquise Brown had just missed a couple big plays last week. His role has been extremely, extremely consistent. Marquise Brown is actually a pretty high floor player. I think a lot of people going into the season viewed Marquise Brown as this boom bust wide receiver. His lowest point total was last week with 7.4 points. That's actually a pretty decent floor 6 weeks into the season. And look at these target numbers. If you're watching live on YouTube for Marquise Brown, he's definitely startable today. If you're just tuning into the YouTube live, guys, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. The significant news to stay on top of today. Let's just run through it really quickly. The Commanders and Giants, Lions and Ravens game. Weatherman Sam is here to help you. These games have significant wind, sustained winds in Commanders and Giants, Lions and Ravens game, 15 to 20 miles an hour, wind gusts around 25 to 30 miles an hour. My takeaways for fantasy here: do not start Sam Howell. Go nowhere near him. Do not start Terry McLaurin. Do not start Jahan Dotson. I think Curtis Samuel is maybe the best receiver to deal with the wind, but I don't want to start him either. And I'm pretty nervous about Logan Thomas too. On the Giants side of the ball, I do knock down Darren Waller a bit. This is why I'm starting Luke Musgrave over Darren Waller. I think Wan'Dale Robinson could get a small bump down too, and Jalen Hyatt as well. Lions and Ravens, I am very nervous about Jared Goff in this game. Josh Reynolds, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, these guys still need to be started. Jahmyr Gibbs still needs to be started on the Ravens side of the ball. I'm nervous about Lamar's passing, but this might even increase his rushing. So he definitely can still be started. Mark Andrews can still be started. I did bump Zay Flowers down a bit in the rankings because of this win, but he can still be started as well. He can still produce with targets at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be hard to throw the ball deep, though, in these games. Commanders and Giants, Lions and Ravens. The other really important news to be on top of, DK Metcalf is not at 100%. He might not play today, and even if DK Metcalf plays, he's not going to be at 100%. That is great news for JSN, and it's why I like his props a lot today. But yeah, you can't trust DK Metcalf. On the other side of injury news, Kareem Hunt is highly questionable today, and he might not play. That's huge for Jerome Ford. He's going to see one of his biggest usage games of the season in a really good matchup against the Colts. He needs to be started today as well. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Seriously, helps me out a ton. If you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button. Helps me out so much. How do you feel about Foreman? I don't feel great about Deontay Foreman, but he is going to be the lead back for the Bears today. He could get 20 touches. So, he's a decent RB3 flex option. Sam, what's going on? Need help with CMC? Play Royce Freeman or Antonio Gibson, or wait from CMC in the flex? Yeah, so in this spot, I'm waiting for CMC. I'm not going with Royce Freeman or Antonio Gibson. I'm waiting for CMC, and I'm dropping Royce Freeman, and I'm adding someone else on that Monday night game, whoever's available, whether that be Juwan Johnson, Ray McLeod. Elijah Mitchell would be the ideal, I think, handcuff over Jordan Mason, but Jordan Mason can be added too. And you got to have some insurance option behind CMC. I say it's 50-50 that CMC plays on Monday night. What running back for the Rams should I start? Yeah, so I lean towards Darrell Henderson over Royce Freeman. It's one of those two guys, though. By all reports, it's one of those two guys. It's not Zach Evans. Zach Evans absolutely cannot be started based on all the reports. Addison versus San Fran. Yeah, Addison versus San Fran absolutely makes a lot of sense. I'm starting Addison over Rashee Rice. Let's actually do this comparison here on the YouTube Live and the WalterPicks app. By the way, guys, the best way you can possibly support me is by downloading the WalterPicks app and trying one of the free trials in the WalterPicks app premium subscription. There's so much free stuff in the WalterPicks app that's going to help you in your start sit decisions, in your trades, in your ad drops, in your daily fantasy lineups, and in your player prop research as well. All that's going to be in the WalterPicks app for free for you. Best way you could possibly support me. And yeah, Walter really likes Jordan Addison. Walter's the AI model that powers the WalterPicks app. Rashee Rice has a better matchup than Addison, but yeah, there's no Justin Jefferson in this game against the 49ers. The 49ers secondary has been okay against receivers, but it's definitely not the strength of the defense. And Addison has just been a lot better than Rashee Rice. And yeah, last week, Addison, by far his biggest usage game, best peripheral numbers of the season with no Justin Jefferson, which makes a lot of sense. 88% snap share, 97% route percentage. He only had 3 catches on 5 targets. I think that's going to be his floor moving forward without Justin Jefferson. And I think his floor is just really strong, at least 11 points coming for Jordan Addison. I still think his ceiling is really, really high. I don't think the general population quite realizes just how talented Jordan Addison really is. Jordan Addison and Jackson Smith and Jigba too. I think both these guys are a little bit underrated right now because they haven't had these explosion games. But guys, these guys were first round wide receivers. Both Jackson Smith and Jigba and Jordan Addison ranked top in my wide receiver prospect model. They were both super elite receivers in college. No touchdowns yet for JSN this season. I think Addison maybe has 1 or 2, but both guys I think are really good options this week. Morning, Sam. Jacoby Myers, Drake London, or Brian Robinson at the flex. I do appreciate when you guys can let me know what's the scoring settings in your league, because it does matter. Like in this one, if it's not PPR, it's absolutely Brian Robinson. In a PPR league, I think it's close between Drake London and Brian Robinson, but I still think I would lean Brian Robinson over Drake London in a game that the Commanders, good matchup against the Giants run defense and also significant wind. Brian Robinson is going to see significant carries in this game. Deontay Johnson, Jerry Jeudy. Good morning to you, Andrew, as well. Jacoby Myers, Mike Evans, PPR. Yeah, I'm going Deontay Johnson, I think. Oh, God, it's Mike Evans or Deontay Johnson here. And I actually think I might have. I'm going to move. I'm actually going to change this a bit here because I think I would go Deontay over Mike Evans. And Mike Evans has been great this season, guys. He's been great. This is just not a good matchup for Mike Evans. And it is a good matchup for Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson, historically just a PPR stud. I am willing to start him this week. Also, should I trade ETN and Ayuk for Eckler? I don't know if I would do that. It's a fair trade. Eckler's the best player in the trade, but man, ETN is looking great. Ayuk is looking really, really good too. Aaron Jones or Jahmyr Gibbs rated the app 5 stars. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, 5-star review to the WalterPicks app is definitely a huge support for me, and it takes you 2 seconds. I would lean Jahmyr Gibbs over Aaron Jones this week, given that Aaron Jones is the one that I think is more likely to be limited just because he came back a little early and tweaked his hamstring before. It's a better matchup for Aaron Jones than Jahmyr Gibbs. I think that the upside for Gibbs is just a little bit higher. The floor, too, in my opinion, a little bit better for Jahmyr Gibbs. Start 2, Madison, Foreman, or Dobbs, PPR. Madison, Foreman, Dobbs in a PPR. Oh, God, yeah, I think it's Foreman last there. Yeah, it's Madison and Foreman. I think it's Madison and Dobbs. I would probably lean Madison in PPR. Wan'Dale Robinson or Josh Downs. I'd lean Josh Downs over Wan'Dale with the weather projected in that Giants game. Who should I start, Pittman or Jordan Addison? Yeah, I'd lean Pittman still over Addison. Tough matchup for Pittman today, but I still think I have Addison maybe 2 spots ahead of Pittman. Let me see this. Yeah, I think I do. I'm actually going to go Jordan Addison over Michael Pittman. And really the only reason is the matchup for Michael Pittman here. Michael Pittman, I think, ranks for me. Yeah, wide receiver 18. I got Addison at wide receiver 14. I'm going Addison over Pittman. But here's the receivers I'm playing over Michael Pittman. I got them up on the YouTube live right now. Godwin or Palmer. I'd go Godwin over Palmer. Are there 3 Evans? Yeah, so there's Mike Evans, Zach Evans. There's definitely a bunch of Evans. But yeah, Mike Evans is the guy that's the must bench. He's in the wide receiver list there. I'm going Marquise Brown over Mike Evans. I'm going for sure. Kirk or Goff. Yeah, I like to go Kirk over Goff with the weather projected in that Lions game. All right. Let's go game by game here and talk through some of these start-sit decisions. Love or Herbo. Yeah, I'm not benching Herbert this week. My quarterback rankings go as follows. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Herbert. Those are the top 4. Then Lamar, despite the wind, because Lamar's rushing definitely keeps him in the top 5. Tua is at 6. Purdy's at 7. Love's at 8. Purdy and Love, to me, are the best kind of fringe top quarterbacks this week. I think they're both good starts with their matchups. Love is maybe honestly a little bit better than Purdy the more I think about it. I think Purdy's floor is maybe a little bit higher, but I'm going to bump Love just 1 spot ahead of Purdy. I really like the spot for Love this week against the Broncos. Coming off the bye too. No better matchup. You get the bye week and then you get to play the Broncos. I mean, it does not get better than that for the Packers. I really like the -1 against this red today too. Hey Sam, should I start Terry McLaurin or Elijah Moore, and should I go Deontay or Zay Flowers? Yeah, so I'm not starting Terry McLaurin really anywhere this week because of the wind in that game. I got Scary Terry down at 29. I have Elijah Moore well below that. I don't even think I have Elijah Moore in my top 37 wide receivers. So I actually would maybe play Terry over Elijah Moore. I'm definitely very nervous about Terry McLaurin though, with the wind in that game. And I still think I would probably go. Yeah, wow. I have Zay and Deontay back-to-back here in my rankings, and I think I would still go Zay over Deontay, but that one's definitely close too. Deontay's maybe honestly a little bit safer because of the wind in that game as well for the Ravens. JSN or Deontay? Yeah, I'm going JSN over Deontay Johnson. I'm going JSN over Zay Flowers over Deontay Johnson. I'm playing JSN over Mike Evans. I'm playing JSN over Chris Godwin, Rashee Rice, Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, Terry McLaurin. I'm playing JSN over all of those guys. JSN's also the free player prop of the live stream today. I feel very good about this one, and I'm sure it's going to move. Let me know actually in the comments if you're seeing this line move, because JSN over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards. This should be over 4.5 receptions, over 45.5 receiving yards, with the reports about DK Metcalf. Luke Musgrave or Mark Andrews? Yeah, it's got to be Andrews over Musgrave. Howell or Russell Wilson? It's Russ over Howell. Jawan Jennings should be started over Hardy and over Ray McLeod. That's definitely a desperation play there. DK Rice or Johnson. Yes, you can't trust DK Metcalf. He might not play. I think Deontay Johnson versus Rashee Rice is definitely a tough one. I think Deontay is the safer play. I'm going Deontay over Rashee Rice. I'm playing JSN in a lot of spots, but not over DJ Moore. Even with Tyson Bagent starting for the Bears, I still think DJ Moore is a solid option. Hey, Sam, traded Curtis Samuel for Deontay Foreman, need another running back. Yeah, that's fine. It's a low-risk trade. It makes sense. Yo, Sam, Zay Flowers or Mike Evans. Love the WalterPicks app. Thank you. Yeah, man. The WalterPicks app's the best way. Trying it out. Best way you could support me and the entire WalterPicks brand and company. Zay Flowers versus Mike Evans. Both these guys are playing in significant wind games. Let me pull up the projection here in the WalterPicks app because I'm interested. how close these guys are. They're probably pretty close. Mike Evans has been better than Zay Flowers this season, but both these guys have been good. And I think the matchup for Zay Flowers is better than it is for Mike Evans in this one. The Lions, are a better matchup than the Falcons. Evans has been much, much better than Zay. To me, Zay Flowers is the guy. Man, look at these two graphs, hilarious graphs here for these two guys. Huge range of outcomes here for Mike Evans. Obviously, the ceiling's super high for him every week, and more condensed range outcomes here for Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers is the guy I would lean towards over Mike Evans because I think he can deal with wind, get more production at the line of scrimmage than Mike Evans can, where Mike Evans relies more on deep targets. Mike Evans obviously not dealing with wind, but it's close. This is a really tough one, honestly. I'd lean Zay Flowers, though, over Mike Evans personally this week, just given the matchup. Tough matchup for Mike Evans. Do I risk DK or play Dobbs? I don't think you can risk DK Metcalf this week. I really, really think you should play Dobbs over him. I think you need to find options over Mike Evans. Zach Evans or Kareem Hunt? Yeah, so Kareem Hunt is maybe, or not even maybe, likely. Kareem Hunt is likely not going to play. Zach Evans, he's going to be active, but he literally might not touch the ball more than 5 times. So you need to find different options there. I like Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson more than Zach Evans. You think Gibbs goes over 55.5 rushing yards? I still see JSN at 35.5 on PrizePicks. Love that, Kyle. Yeah, take the 34.5 for JSN for sure. I don't hate this one at all for Gibbs. It sounds like he could get 15 carries this week, and he has the ability. We haven't seen it yet from JSN, but he has the speed to rip off a 60-yard run in this game. There's not very many running backs who can feel like can beat these type of prop lines in one run. And JSN and Jahmyr Gibbs definitely can. Are you starting Rice over Ayuk, Flowers, or Addison? No, I'm starting Ayuk over Rice easily. I'm starting Addison over Rice easily, and I'm starting Flowers over Rice not that easily, but it is close. I go Ezekiel Elliott over Craig Reynolds. I don't think you can trust Craig Reynolds. They don't have Jason's props on BetMGM. Yeah, they do have them on FanDuel. FanDuel is the place that I saw them on this morning, but I'm sure they'll come up on BetMGM once the reports, once the official injuries, come out. I'm bleeding out at running back this week with buys. I've got Darrell Henderson, Zach Moss, Jeff Wilson, and Jordan Mason. Right now I'm starting Moss and Henderson. Thoughts? Yeah, I think that makes sense, Jonathan. I would go Moss and Henderson there as well. And yeah, it's a bleak running back week for you. Start JSN or Flowers. Yeah, I'd lean JSN over Flowers. Brandon Ayuk or Devontae Smith. You cannot bench Brandon Ayuk this week, guys. There's no benching Brandon Ayuk this week. All right, I'm getting a little bit of lag again in the TikTok Live. Going to restart that right now. And then we're going to go game by game here. And I'm going to talk through every single game. And there's 6 buys this week. So there's really not that many games. All right. So let's start with the Patriots versus the Bills. The Pats are only 7.5-point underdogs in this game. A little bit surprising, honestly, to see that. Ramondre Stevenson is startable. He did see finally a better workload last week. I think Zeke is startable as well. There was some wind projected in this game early, but that doesn't seem like it's going to be very significant. And those are really the only 2 Pats players you can trust. Kendrick Bourne is going to be their top receiver again. Pop Douglas is going to be back, but the Pats are cratering, man. And only Mondre really can be trusted, I think, in this offense. Zeke is a desperation play at best. And then on the Bill side of the ball, I'm pretty nervous for Steph Diggs. He obviously still needs to be started, but the Pats have been really good against top receivers. I think Gabe Davis is definitely startable this week because of the attention Steph Diggs will get against the Pats. The Pats do have some of their corners finally returning to this week. That's going to be big for them as well. James Cook, Latavius Murray. I like Latavius Murray's props a decent amount. Latavius Murray started the game last week, saw very similar work to James Cook. Let me actually pull up the game log here for Latavius Murray because I think he's being a little slept on this week. 49% snap share, by far his biggest usage, 12 carries. He started the game. He seemed like the guy that they trust a little bit more than James Cook, who has had a couple fumbles this season. But yeah, the Bills are going to destroy the Pats in this game. I do think that the Pats can cover the 7.5-point spread, but they also could lose by 35 points in this game. All right, the Lions versus Ravens game. This game is going to have significant wind. There's 2 games with significant wind today that you need to be aware of. The Giants and the Lions game is one of them. Sustained winds at 15 to 20. Sorry, the Lions and Ravens game is one of them. Sustained winds, 15 to 20 miles an hour, wind gusts around 25 to 30 miles an hour in that game. That means it's going to be hard to pass. That means you should not trust Jared Goff as much as usual. I think Josh Reynolds needs to be benched. I think Jared Goff should be benched. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, all these guys still kind of need to be started at their respective positions. For the Ravens, it does make me a little concerned about Zay Flowers. I think that Mark Andrews still needs to be started. Lamar still needs to be started because of the rushing. Whatever Lamar loses in passing, he's probably going to gain in rushing because of the wind in this game. Zay Flowers is still startable, but he's more of a back-end wide receiver 2 for me this week than a high-end wide receiver 2 like he usually is. And then the Commanders and Giants game, another game with significant wind. This is why you can't trust Sam Howell. You can't trust Terry McLaurin in this game. You can't trust Jahan Dotson, regardless of the weather, but definitely not with this weather either. I do think this gives a small bump up to Brian Robinson. CMC is 50-50 to play on Monday night with the game between the 49ers and the Vikings. I think you can trust him in some spots, depending on who you're starting him over. Like I'm starting him over Cortland Sutton, and I got Ray McLeod on my bench, or Juwan Johnson on my bench in case CMC doesn't play. But even if CMC plays, guys, it's going to be 50, 75% of the CMC role, which makes him still a top 15 running back. I felt sick in my stomach putting CMC at number 14 running back this week, doing my running back rankings this morning, but it makes sense. He really might not play. He's 50-50 to play. And the 49ers, last out on the CMC stuff, the 49ers, they have the game on Monday night, then they have one more game in week 8, and then they have the bye week 9. And that does make me lean a little bit more towards not seeing CMC play, and then maybe a limited CMC or another game missed for CMC, and then he's back at full steam after the bye. Hey, Sam, love you, bro. Thank you, man. I appreciate your support. Appreciate everybody's support in this live. Seriously, guys, I look forward to these lives all week. One of my favorite things to do, and I'm going to get to thousands of start-sit questions on this live stream. Shout out to all of you for supporting me. Seriously, guys, it means the world. The best ways you can support me for free, and that take like 5 seconds, hitting the like button, the subscribe button on the YouTube live, hitting the like button, the follow button on the TikTok live, and then checking out the WalterPicks app for free in the iOS and Android app store. Link to the WalterPicks app. It's going to help you with all your start sits, all your trades, everything else to do with fantasy and betting. In the TikTok bio, in the YouTube description, use creator code SAM, and you can get a 7-day free trial too for all the premium features in the WalterPicks app. All right, Foreman or Josh Downs? Yeah, I'm going. If this is a PPR league, Connie, I'm going Josh Downs. If it's not a PPR league, I'm okay going Foreman. But yeah, I'd lean Josh Downs over Foreman if it is a PPR league. Why are we benching DK Metcalf? Because DK Metcalf might not play. He is not at 100%. Even if DK Metcalf plays, I don't want to start him. I really don't. All right, we got this report from Ian Rappaport here about the Pats. Contractually, Bill Belichick is locked up long-term. The past offseason, Belichick quietly agreed to a lucrative multi-year new contract. So Bill Belichick's not going anywhere. And I think that's a good news for Bill Belichick and the Pats. They're obviously cratering in. As a Pats fan, it's weird. I kind of want them to lose, and I don't feel great about it. But the fastest way for the Pats to turn things around is to get the first or second overall pick and try to get one of these top QBs in the class. I have Lamar. Do you think he's an okay start even with the wind? Yeah, Lamar is still an okay start. He's a slightly worse start with the wind, but he's still a top 5 QB for me. He's still an okay start because of the rushing. Why bench Terry McLaurin? Because there's going to be wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour in that Commanders game. That's not good for Terry McLaurin. It's really, really bad for him. And I'm nervous about him for sure because of that. Sam Howell or Kirk Cousins? Yep, for that same reason, I'm going Kirk over Sam Howell. I'm playing Musgrave over Waller for a similar reason. There's going to be significant wind in that Giants game too. And Musgrave gets a great matchup against the Broncos today. So I am down for Luke Musgrave. All right, player prop of the day, guys. It's Jackson Smith and Jigba, over 3.5 receptions and over 4.5 receiving yards. The general population, the line makers, the sports books, they still don't realize just how good Jackson Smith and Jigba is because we haven't seen it yet this season. He doesn't have a touchdown this season. Really, he only has one game where he even played significant amount of snaps, and that was last week. And guys, last week with a healthier DK Metcalf than is going to be present this week, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 4 catches, 48 yards. He played a career high 70% of snaps, ran a career high 87% of routes. Take this prop with a lot of ease. Jackson Smith and Jigba over 34.5 receiving yards, over 3.5 receptions. We're 9-4 on the free player props on this live. We can't trust DK because he's not at 100%. He is dealing with injuries. He might not play. He legitimately might not even play. And even if he plays, he can't be trusted. I saw a Christian Watson versus JSN question there. I'd go Christian Watson over JSN. I really like Christian Watson. I think his ceiling is extremely high this week against the Broncos. There's no better spot for an NFL team to be than the Packers are in this week. They're coming off the bye week, and they get to play the Broncos. I mean, ridiculous spot here for the Packers. That's why I'm stacking Jordan Love, Christian Watson, and Luke Musgrave on my DraftKings lineup this week. Hey, Sam, I'm 2-4, and a bye week is hitting me hard. Royce Freeman, A.J. Dillon, Jeff Wilson, or Darrell Henderson. Yeah, I would lean A.J. Dillon in this one. I don't trust Royce Freeman at all. I prefer Darrell Henderson over him, but yeah, I'd go A.J. Dillon in a good spot against the Broncos. All right, let's get to Are we starting Lockett over JSN? Yeah, we are starting Lockett over JSN for sure. Still. So Weatherman Sam, do you like Tua over Lamar full PPR due to wind? This one's super, super close, Zach. And I think I still lean Lamar just slightly over Tua, but Tua is a really good option. The Eagles are a pass funnel defense, and this game has the highest projected scoring game of the week between the Dolphins and the Eagles. So definitely a really, really interesting spot for Tua. His ceiling is extremely high. I think the floor is maybe a little bit higher for Lamar just because of the rushing. But yeah, the ceiling's there for Tua. I'm fine going Tua over Lamar if you're nervous about the wind. I do think Lamar will struggle to throw today, but like he can still have a huge fantasy day on the ground. So it's different for Lamar than other quarterbacks. I still lean Lamar over Tua personally, but I don't think you're crazy for starting Tua over Lamar. And I would argue Lamar's floor is higher. Tua's ceiling is higher, though. Hey, Walter, Gabe Davis, Terry, or James Cook at flex, non-PPR. Braden, it's a classic mistake. Do not worry about it. My name is not Walter. My name is Sam. Classic mistake. Walter is the AI model that powers the WalterPicks app, which I helped build, but my name is Sam. Use creator code SAM in the WalterPicks app for a completely free 7-day trial for our premium features in the WalterPicks app. All right, Gabe Davis, Terry McLaurin, James Cook at flex. Yeah, so it's definitely not Terry McLaurin. It's James Cook or Gabe Davis, and I think I lean James Cook over Gabe Davis just barely, but definitely close. I have Lamar and Zay Flowers. Do you see a bust incoming? Yeah, Corey, definitely possible. Definitely possible with the wind, but I think both still can be started. Opinion on Aaron Jones? Yeah, I mean, it's a dream spot for Aaron Jones coming off the bye against the Broncos. I'm a little nervous just because last time Aaron Jones went out, he re-aggravated his hamstring injury. But I still have him as a top 12 running back in PPR leagues. So guys, if you're watching live on TikTok, by the way, come to the YouTube live. I'm telling you, the YouTube live, it's a better viewing experience than the TikTok live because I can show my top 25 rankings, every position, right at the bottom of the screen on the YouTube live, and I can share my screen, and I can pull up your comments on screen. So come to the YouTube live. It's right in the TikTok live if you're watching live on TikTok. All right. That's my opinion on Aaron Jones. He's a top 12 running back option. Great matchup coming off the bye. I am just a little nervous about the hamstring. So Michael Mayer is the rookie tight end getting all the hype over the past week. He's coming off his best game of the season. Let's actually do this comparison on the YouTube live. Michael Mayer versus Luke Musgrave. I like Musgrave more than Mayer today. And there's a few different reasons why. But, let's just start out with the most obvious one. Michael Mayer's catching passes from Brian Hoyer today, guys. Brian Hoyer has not had more than 210 passing yards since 2017, 6 years ago. Guys, think about where you were 6 years ago. That was the last time. We saw Brian Hoyer go for 210 yards. We obviously haven't seen Brian Hoyer start many games since then. But yeah, Musgrave has the dream matchup against the Broncos this week. They've been the dead last against tight ends this season, allowing over 10 points per game to tight ends, which is actually a lot when you think about the tight end position. And yeah, Musgrave's coming off. Michael Myers coming off his best game of the season. So is Luke Musgrave coming off. Well, I guess his second best game, you could say, of his season. He had 11 points in week 3. He had 9 points in week 5, but it was his best target share game of the season. 24% target share for Luke Musgrave, 6 catches, tying a career high with 6 catches. And now, yeah, he gets a bye in the Broncos. I like Musgrave a lot. I think his floor and ceiling are pretty intriguing this week. I'm starting him over Michael Mayer personally. Mayer is coming off his best game of his career by far, where he saw significant usage, 80% snap share. He saw a 19% target share last game, 5 catches, 75 yards. He's got a good matchup against the Bears. But yeah, I like Musgrave more than Mayer. Both guys are decent streamers this week, though. In back end, top 10, top 12 tight ends. I think I have Musgrave closer to the back end of the top 12. Yeah. Sorry, I have Mayer at number 13, and I have Musgrave at number 7. I'm starting Waller over Michael Mayer. I'm starting Kyle Pitts over Michael Mayer, Jared Everett, Cole Kmet, Jonnu Smith. I think all are decent spots over Michael Mayer as well. Do I start Gibbs or Ford? Yeah, I actually have Ford one spot ahead of Gibbs. I'm really excited for him this week. He's got the backfield to himself. No David Montgomery. Craig Reynolds is banged up. He's going to play, but he is injured, and he's going to play behind Jahmyr Gibbs in this one. But Kareem Hunt's also banged up, and that's a bigger deal, I think, for Jerome Ford. And Jerome Ford also has a better matchup than Jahmyr Gibbs. So, yeah, I'm going Ford over Gibbs, and I have them back-to-back here in my running back rankings, which you can see my top 25 running back rankings. I think I have 30 running backs in my top 25 running back rankings this week on the YouTube live. The link to that's right in the TikTok bio if you're watching live on TikTok. But, yeah, you got to start Jerome Ford, guys. You have to start Jerome Ford. The matchup's too good for Ford, especially in the context of Kareem Hunt unlikely to play. I think he's a better option than Gibbs. Personally, I think Gibbs' ceiling is extremely exciting in a game where he can get 20 touches. But yeah, the matchup here, the Colts ranked 26th against running backs, allowing 19 points per game compared to 14.5 points per game for Jahmyr Gibbs' matchup against the Ravens. And Ford's been good, guys. I think Kareem Hunt's game last week masked Ford a little bit. Jerome Ford, he's averaging 16.5 touches per game in the games with Kareem Hunt. And Kareem Hunt is unlikely to play today. Even if Kareem Hunt played, this is a good spot for Ford. I think he's a top 10 running back option. I'm at running back 8 this week. I really think Ford's a really, really strong option in this game. I'm starting Jerome Ford over most players today. A Samster. Start one tight end. Jonnu Smith or Ertz, and should I drop one of them for Meyer? Yeah, so I got Jonnu Smith over Ertz. I would play Jonnu Smith. Oh, I have Jonnu Smith ahead of Meyer, though. Let's in my rankings, but let's see if I should change that. Let's compare these guys here in these matchups. Jonnu Smith absolutely is startable. Yeah, he gets the Bucks though, man. Let me pull up the games for the Bucks. They've been really, really good against tight ends this season. They're the second best defense, the Buccaneers, against tight ends this season. Hawkinson is the best tight end week against them. They've actually played good tight ends too. Hawkinson had 11 points. They played against Cole Kmet. He only had 8 points. Dallas Goedert only had 9 points. Sam Laporta only had 7.5 points. I kind of think you got to go Meyer here, actually. And I'm going to update my tight end rankings on the YouTube Live to reflect this. I would go Michael Meyer over Jonnu Smith. I would play Jonnu Smith over Zach Ertz, though. I don't trust Zach Ertz really at all this week. So I got Michael Meyer at number 10 tight end now. I still think I'd go. Oh God, I actually think I'm going to put him at number 9 ahead of Kyle Pitts. As good as Pitts has been the last couple of games, this is not a good matchup here for Pitts this week. So I'm playing Michael Meyer at number 9. I'm playing Luke Musgrave over him. I'm playing Sam Laporta still over him, despite the wind in that game. I'm playing Darren Waller over him. And then it's Michael Meyer. And then I'm playing Kyle Pitts, Gerald Everett, Cole Kmet, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Tyler Higbee. Hunter Henry's still questionable, by the way. Why is DJ Moore a must start? Because he's going to get peppered with targets from Tyson Bagent. DJ Moore could get 10, 15 targets in this game pretty easily. So he needs to be started for sure in this one. It's not a horrible matchup for him either. DJ Moore still has a really good floor ceiling. All right. Good morning, Sam. Pick 3, please. JSN, Deontay Johnson, Pickens, Rice, McLaurin. Yeah, so I have Deontay Johnson a couple spots ahead of Pickens. I would go Deontay over Pickens. I'm playing JSN in this spot for sure, and I'm playing Rice. I would go JSN, Deontay Johnson, and Rice, and I think these 3 receivers are all really good options this week. I'm nervous about George Pickens with Deontay Johnson returning. I still think he has an interesting ceiling, but just a much lower floor with Deontay Johnson in the lineup. Deontay Johnson's going to get more targets than Pickens, assuming he is at full steam and plays his normal amount of snaps. And McLaurin just can't be trusted in a game that's going to have wind gusts over 30 miles an hour. Guys, hit the like button, hit the follow button. I really do appreciate everybody in here. The 2 games you got to be concerned about today, the Commanders and the Giants. That game is going to have wind gusts at 30 miles an hour. Do not trust Terry McLaurin. The other game with a lot of news and storylines, the Rams versus the Steelers. What's going on in that backfield? It sounds like it's going to be Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson leading the way. I prefer Darrell Henderson over Royce Freeman by a decent amount. Tazi, hey Sam, what do you think about JSN or Sutton? Tazi, great to see you in the live, man. Hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoy the DraftKings lounge today when you go and watch in Chicago. And it's JSN, man, over Sutton, I think pretty easily. JSN is actually the free player prop of the live. And Taz, we're 9-4 on the free player props this season. I mean, it's hard to get, better than that. I think we're hitting at like a 65, 68% clip on these free player props. And I have 2 free player props today. They're both Jackson Smith and Jigba props. Over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards. I think you got to lock this one in with a lot of confidence. And FanDuel had this actually at plus odds this morning. I'm sure it's going to move. But guys, last week with DK Metcalf in the lineup, JSN goes for 48 receiving yards. And he also has 4 catches last week. That's Jackson Smith and Jigba. That was with a healthier DK Metcalf than we're going to get this week. A better matchup for JSN this week, too. I think JSN's got a really, really high ceiling, and I don't think people quite realize just how good JSN is going to be yet. Josh Dobbs or Sam Howell? Yeah, it's got to be Josh Dobbs over Howell. You cannot start Sam Howell in this weather with 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Michael Mayer over 21.5 receiving yards. Yeah, I was kind of surprised, honestly, how low that line was. I do like that prop. Start Henderson or Freeman this week. Yeah, I lean Henderson over Freeman, especially if it's a PPR league. Jordan Addison is a receiver that I absolutely love this week that I really think is flying under the radar. He's my number 14 wide receiver this week. I have Jordan Addison as a top 15 option this week. It's not an amazing matchup against the 49ers. Their secondary is definitely worse, though, than their run defense. They're one of these pass funnel teams, and Jordan Addison is going to benefit from that. I think Addison's floor in PPR, 10 points, and his ceiling is 30 points. Jordan Addison, similar to Jackson Smith and Jigba, don't think people quite realize just how good he is yet. And he had by far his best peripheral usage in terms of snap percentage, route percentage, target share in the first game without Justin Jefferson last week, which makes a lot of sense. And I think that's going to continue. So yeah, I do like JSN and Addison. I like Addison more than JSN. I like Addison more than Marquise Brown, Michael Pittman, Drake London, Zay Flowers this week. You really can't. Ayuk versus Waddle. I mean, you got to start both these guys. You got to find ways to start both these guys. I have Ayuk one spot ahead of Waddle. I would start Ayuk over Waddle, but they're both top 7 wide receivers. I mean, how good are your wide receivers that you can't start both these guys? JT or Amari Cooper? Yeah, so I really do want to start Jonathan Taylor this week. I have Jonathan Taylor as my number 12 running back, and it's a weird game. To me, this is the game where Jonathan Taylor is back to being Jonathan Taylor and getting by far the bulk of the work in this backfield. Let me pull up the game logs here for Jonathan Taylor. We're seeing it start to ramp up here, guys. He had 15% snap share his first game back. Last week was 44%. Don't be surprised if we see another similar jump this week. 60, 70% snap share I expect for Jonathan Taylor this week. He's back to full conditioning, full steam ahead for JT. And he also ran 20 routes last week. He had 6 targets. I mean, huge receiving role for Jonathan Taylor. He had 5 catches, 48 yards. He had 1 big catch last week against the Jaguars. The only negative here for Jonathan Taylor is the matchup. The Browns defense is very, very good. They rank 5th best against running backs this season. They rank, top 5 against basically every single position. The Browns defense is no joke. So I am a tiny bit nervous about that for JT, but yeah, the role is good enough that you're starting JT in most spots. I think that Amari Cooper versus JT in a PPR league, though, I'd probably lean Amari Cooper over Jonathan Taylor in PPR, given the respective matchups between those two guys. All right, Ayuk or who is that? Ayuk or it's my first fantasy, and I only have Love on your list. Yeah, Love is definitely startable. I'm playing Ayuk over Gibbs. Yeah, for sure. You got to start Ayuk, especially in PPR leagues today. I'm playing Latavius Murray over Kadarius Toney. Drop Moss for Royce Freeman. I think that's fine. I really think Darrell Henderson, though, over Royce Freeman personally, especially in PPR. McCaffrey is 50-50 to play. I think he's like a true 50-50 game time decision. And that is definitely tough to deal with on a Sunday start-sit slate. I think that you got to start a lot of good players over CMC this week. And the average players, that's where you got to consider starting CMC still, because there's a real chance CMC doesn't play. What rookies should be stashed on the waiver wire? Yeah, I think Quentin Johnston is still an interesting stash, as bad as he's been. And I think that Tyjae Spears, to me, he's rostered in most leagues now. I think he's going to win leagues. I'm desperate, Sam. Najee or Foreman? Yeah, I like Najee Harris more than Foreman this week. Why bench Mike Evans? Yeah, so Mike Evans is on the must-bench list. He's probably the least must-bench guy of all the guys on the must-bench list this week. But I'm nervous just the matchup against the Falcons. The Falcons have been very, very good in the secondary this season. Let me read you some of the matchups that the Falcons have had this season. We saw Amon-Ra St. Brown had a good game against them. Calvin Ridley only had 12 points against them. Nico Collins did not do much against them. They're allowing the 5th fewest points to wide receivers this season. So yeah, I'm just a little bit nervous about the matchup for Mike Evans. I still would start Mike Evans over a decent amount of players. I think I have him at like the back end of my top 24 wide receivers. By the way, if you're watching live on TikTok, on the YouTube live, which I'm live on YouTube right now too, you get my top 25 rankings, every position right on the screen. And that's going to answer so many starts I can't get to. Link to that's right in the TikTok bio. You're like 2 presses of your finger away from the YouTube live if you're watching live on TikTok. Shout out to everybody in this live stream right now. It's going to be a fantastic, fantastic Sunday. So many good games on the slate this week. So many tough start-sit decisions, fun start-sit decisions with 6 bye weeks and some injuries going on this week. All right, Devontae Smith or Tyler Lockett at flex. Yeah, this is the first Devontae Smith question we've gotten in. I'm a little surprised, honestly, that it is, because Devontae Smith has definitely been a big disappointment so far this season. And yeah, I think it's got to be Lockett over Devontae Smith. I'm excited for Devontae Smith in this matchup. I think he's still a strong start, but I think Lockett's better with what's going on with DK Metcalf right now and him being highly questionable to play. And even if he plays, not being at 100%. Okay. Let me catch you guys all up on the most pressing news. So CMC is 50-50 to play. I'm starting CMC over guys like Cortland Sutton, guys like Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson. And then I'm getting someone else in that Monday night game as insurance because he's 50-50 to play. For the Rams, it's going to be Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson most likely. That's what's being reported. I like Henderson a lot more than Royce Freeman. I do not think Royce Freeman is good. I think Darrell Henderson at least can have a receiving back role and has some familiarity with Sean McVay. But you cannot start Zach Evans. Absolutely not. Puka Nacua needs to be started over Deontay Johnson. Puka Nacua needs to be started, guys. Puka Nacua had a 33% target share last week with Cooper Kupp in the lineup, and that's back-to-back games now with over 25% target share for Puka with Kupp in the lineup. I mean, really, really elite volume we're seeing for Puka. I know he dropped a touchdown and had kind of a down game last week, but still definitely is a good start. Evans or JSN? Yeah, I lean JSN over Mike Evans this week, given the matchups, given the what's going on with the injuries on these teams. Sam, what's up? Odd question, but Browns or Packers defense? Also, do we have DFS? Yeah, so I do have a DraftKings lineup, and our DraftKings tournament lineup did cash. I would go Browns there, by the way, over the Packers. And here's my DraftKings lineup for this week for tournaments. Again, this is tournaments where you're trying to place them first. I absolutely love the build starting out with stacking Jordan Love, Christian Watson, and Luke Musgrave. There is not a better situation to be in among all NFL teams than getting your bye week and then getting to play the Broncos. I mean, it just does not get better than that. The Broncos have been the stone cold worst defense in the league by far. They've had some absolutely embarrassing performances, mainly against the Miami Dolphins, but it hasn't even just been against them. We saw Justin Fields pop off for 29 points against them as well. I think Jordan Love can get to 25 to 30 DraftKings points, and I really like stacking him with Musgrave and Christian Watson. I think both these guys are being underpriced this week. I'm going with Jackson Smith and Jigba and Kenneth Walker. If I was going to tweak one thing about this lineup, it's I don't really love stacking running back and receivers on the same teams. I really like Kenneth Walker this week. He's my number 2 running back, only behind Austin Eckler, and he's priced at down at running back 7 or 8 on the DraftKings slate. I think Jerome Ford is a must in your DraftKings lineup this week. And then I'm also going with Keenan Allen and Puka Nacua. Both guys, I think, could be number 1 receivers in the slate. And I'm going with the Giants defense against the Commanders in a game that's going to be extremely windy. That's my DraftKings lineup this week. Good luck in your DraftKings contest. I do think the Jordan Love, Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave stack is a really, really good starting point in tournaments today. With the wind, is Curtis Samuel still going to be valuable? Yeah, he's going to be less valuable, I think. He's probably the receiver on the team that benefits or can deal with the wind the most, seeing targets right around the line of scrimmage, but definitely nervous for the entire passing attack for the Commanders in a game with wind gusts at 30 miles an hour. Why not Kareem Hunt? Because he is not at 100% and he might not play. Which teams for defense? Colts versus Browns, Lions versus Ravens. Yeah, it's the Rams. The Rams are the defense here for sure. Yarjma, how we doing, man? I'm in shambles. Who should I start, Howell or Love? Yarjma, it's for sure. It is for sure Jordan Love over Sam Howell. It is honestly not close at all. I got Jordan Love actually as my number 7 quarterback today. Again, there's not a better spot to be in the NFL than getting your bye week and then playing the Broncos. I would play Christian Watson, I think, ahead of Devontae Smith. It's close. Yeah, I have them back-to-back actually in my rankings. Let me talk through some of the benches, the must benches today. So you got to bench Jared Goff and Sam Howell because of the wind projections in those games. There's sustained winds around 20 miles an hour, wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour in those games. Bench Goff, bench Howell. For the same reasons, you got to bench Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. I'm nervous about Mike Evans because of the matchup with the Falcons. They're the 5th best defense against receivers this season. I think Josh Reynolds cannot be started because of the wind as well. DK Metcalf, he's highly questionable to play. He might not play. And even if he plays, he's not 100%. So do not trust DK Metcalf. This is injury related. He literally might not even play. Running backs, Najee Harris is definitely a really scary start. Jalen Warren's outscored him in every single PPR game, every single game this season in PPR. Kareem Hunt, he might not play. It's a good match for Hunt, but he might not play. And he's similar to a DK Metcalf. Even if Kareem Hunt plays, probably not going to be his normal workload. So you can't trust him. Zach Evans literally might touch the ball less than 5 times. Sounds like Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson there are going to get the bulk of the work. Jordan Mason, I'd much prefer Elijah Mitchell over Jordan Mason. And it does sound like CMC has a chance to start. Multiple leagues with 500 plus record. Lowest range player you would trade away for Achane. Yeah, so I think if you are, likely to make the playoffs, and I posted a long video this week, my longest TikTok of all time this past week, about 19 players I think makes sense trading for in fantasy to win your league. And Achane was one of those guys. And yeah, I'd be willing to trade, flex options and depth options for Achane. Definitely. Even RB2s for Achane if I can. And if I'm likely to make the playoffs, because Achane can definitely win leagues in the fantasy playoffs this season when he comes back. Henderson or Hunt or AJ Dillon. Yeah, it's AJ Dillon for me over Darrell Henderson and over Kareem Hunt. It's definitely a relatively close one, but Hunt is not in consideration here. Henderson and Dillon are. Hunt might not play. Hunt is likely not going to play. He's on the wrong side of questionable right now, so you can't trust Kareem Hunt for sure. Better matchup for AJ Dillon than Henderson too, and yeah, there's so much uncertainty in that backfield for the Rams that I'm okay going with AJ Dillon over Darrell Henderson. Eagles or Packers defense? Yeah, do not start the Eagles defense. You can't against the Dolphins. I don't think. That game is the highest projected scoring game of the week, so I don't feel good about either defenses in those games. Sam, please pick 2. I'm in shambles today. A lot of people in shambles today with all the injuries and with all of the buys. All right, we got Rashee Rice, Brian Robinson, and Chris Godwin. Yeah, so I think I ranked these guys. Chris Godwin first, then, actually, Brian Robinson's a pretty good option too. I got Chris Godwin one spot ahead of Rashee Rice. Yeah, actually, I think the answer here is Brian Robinson. You got to pick two, though. So, yeah, I think it's Chris Godwin and Brian Robinson here over Rashee Rice. Love or Lamar? Yes, Lamar over Love. Sam the man, Judy or Brian Robinson, PPR? Yeah, Austin, it's got to be B-Rob. Judy is due, I think, for a big game, and I think he's extremely underrated right now across the fantasy football landscape. I think he's a really interesting buy low candidate. I honestly don't feel like he's going to end up getting traded, though there's been a lot of rumors about that. But still Brian Robinson over Judy. A better matchup for B-Rob. Better game script projection for B-Rob as well. Sam, Laporta or George Kittle? You cannot bench George Kittle, guys. There's no Debo. As in CMC is questionable too. So as the target consolidation, gets more and more consolidated for the 49ers, the upside and floor for Ayuk and Kittle, the remaining healthy players in that offense goes up dramatically. I think George Kittle is a top 3 tight end this week for that reason. Top 4. I actually have Andrews, Hawkinson, and Kelsey ahead of him, but he's top 4. I'm playing Kittle over Goddard, Kittle over Laporta, Kittle over everybody other than Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, and Travis Kelsey. Thoughts on Jonnu Smith? Yeah, I mean, nothing more annoying than Jonnu Smith being fantasy relevant this season, especially as a Pats fan. Totally unable, the Pats, to unlock Jonnu Smith, and he goes to the Falcons and completely unlocked. He's number 10 in tight end points per game this season. And yeah, he's a fringe tight end. He's a fringe startable tight end for sure. Week in and week out, but not a good matchup for him this week. The Bucs are the number 2 defense against tight ends. I'm playing Musgrave. I'm not playing Musgrave over Laporta. I have Laporta one spot ahead of Musgrave, even with the wind in that game. Royce Freeman, Josh Downs, or Jalen Warren. Yeah, got to be Josh Downs here over Jalen Warren and Musgrave. Hey, Sam, Jeff Wilson or Henderson or Freeman, Brees on bye, and Connor Hurt for me. Yeah, so I like Henderson more than Freeman. And Jeff Wilson, I think, is an interesting one here. Let me actually pull I don't think I have him. I think we're going to put Jeff Wilson in here, though. It's not a good matchup for Jeff Wilson either, though. Against the Eagles, they've been one of the best defenses against running backs this season. Man, yeah, let's do this comparison in the WalterPicks app, too. Henderson versus Jeff Wilson. I mean, you're definitely in shambles here, Yarzma. We will check this out. I think it's Henderson. It's Henderson. Yeah, it's Henderson. I mean, look at the matchup difference here. I'd go Darrell Henderson over Jeff Wilson, and I'm playing Darrell Henderson over Royce Freeman too. Certainly an uncertain situation. We haven't seen a game without Kyren Williams yet really this season, but yeah, I'm going Darrell Henderson. I'm playing Jeff Wilson over Freeman though. So let me update here on the YouTube live rankings. Again, we're live on TikTok and YouTube, and on the YouTube live rankings, you get my top 25 rankings, every single position for free. I pick up Dobbs and drop Reed. Yeah, I do prefer Dobbs over Reed. Goddard or Laporta? I'm going Goddard over Laporta. I got Goddard at 5 and Laporta at 6. Why bench Zach Moss? Because Jonathan Taylor's role is increasing week over week, and that means Zach Moss' role is decreasing week over week. I don't think you can trust Zach Moss at all in this matchup. Not only is it a horrible matchup against the Browns, who are top 5 defense against every single position, but also Jonathan Taylor is going to get 65, 70, 75, 80% of the snaps. I mean, probably not 80, probably closer to 60 to 70% range, but Zach Moss is not a guy I trust at all. What do you think I should play at flex? Josh Palmer, Rice, or Drake London? Also Jeff Wilson or Warren at RB2. If you're 3-3, I mean, it depends like what your league settings are, how many people in your league, and how likely you feel like it is that you'll make the playoffs. But if you are feeling like you have a decent shot at the playoffs, I would hold Achane. If you're feeling like you really need to give yourself a better chance at the playoffs, then trade Achane. It's the whole game theory behind fantasy football, guys. It just really simplified down. You got to optimize for making the playoffs first. And then once you've made the playoffs or are likely to make the playoffs, you need to optimize for having the best fantasy lineup in the playoffs. And Achane is helpful in the playoffs, but he's not going to help you make the playoffs, most likely. And then, yeah, for your start-sit question here, Josh Palmer, Rice, Drake London. I think it's Drake London, then Rice, then Josh Palmer. I think that's what my wide receiver rankings say at the bottom of the YouTube Live as well. Brian Robinson or James Cook? It's B-Rob over James Cook. We're benching Metcalf because he might not play. He's not at 100%. He might not play. He can't be trusted, I don't think, because of that. I'm not trusting him at all in a pretty good matchup against the Cardinals. But yeah, DK Metcalf will have his status determined in pregame warmups. There are more concerns about his availability than there were the past 2 weeks. Metcalf has been dealing with a rib issue for a few weeks, but he also has a new hip injury. He hit the ground hard on a deep ball from Geno last week, so he's up in the air. So yeah, you can't trust DK Metcalf. He literally might not even play, and if he plays, you can't expect him to be at 100%. Good morning, Sam. Mondre, Ford, full PPR. Got to be Ford. Start Jerome Ford this week. 100% start him in almost all spots. Julio Jones, I'm excited that he's back in the NFL, but I don't think that he is, trustworthy at all or even worth rostering in fantasy football. Thoughts on Rashee Rice? Yeah, Rashee Rice has a really high ceiling. Rashee Rice has been by far the most efficient, productive receiver for the Chiefs this season, and you got to expect his role to grow because of that. Why bench Goff in the arguably best offense? Because of the weather. So Weatherman Sam, put my Weatherman cap on for a second here. There's some weather to be aware of for sure today. And actually, it was I was more concerned about the weather Thursday than I am this morning, which is great. I was nervous about that Bills and Patriots game. I was nervous about even the Dolphins-Eagles game. Those two games have cleared up. Not worried about those games at all. There's going to be some wind, but not much. But there is significant wind in the Commanders and Giants game, and significant wind. We're talking 15 to 20 mile an hour sustained winds and wind gusts 25 to 30 miles an hour. Really hard to throw the ball deep in that wind. That is bad news for Jared Goff. That's why I'm benching Jared Goff this week, even though the offense has been elite. I think that it's bad news for Terry McLaurin. It's bad news for Darren Waller. It's bad news even for Amon-Ra St. Brown, though I still think Amon-Ra is a must start. We're sitting Mike Evans because he's playing a top 5 secondary today against the Falcons in a game that I don't think is going to be very high scoring. Oh, Sam, Henderson or Javonte Williams? Yeah, you got to go Javonte over Henderson for sure. That's a much, much, much better option there. Yarsma, McLaurin, Godwin, Devonta Smith. This one's got to be Devonta Smith, Owen. And I know Devonta Smith's down pretty bad. He's been crushing teams in a bad way, but he's in a good matchup in a game that has the highest projected scoring of the week. So, yeah, you got to go Devonta Smith over Chris Godwin. You got to go Devonta Smith over Terry McLaurin for sure as well. Zay Flowers, Aaron Jones, Pacheco. Start 2. Yeah, I think I would go Aaron Jones and Pacheco there over Zay Flowers. Morning, Sam. Brianne, good to see you back. Bye weeks are killing me. Yeah, you're not alone here. Musgrave, Zach Evans, or Latavius Murray at flex. PPR, thanks as always. Yeah, I'm going Musgrave, and I don't like starting 2 tight ends, but I really do like Musgrave against the Broncos. The Broncos have allowed the most points in the entire league to tight ends this season, and the Packers are coming off the bye. Musgrave's coming off his highest target share game of the season before the bye. I think Musgrave's a really good start today. I don't love starting 2 tight ends, but if you're down bad, yeah, I'm fine starting him over Latavius Murray. I think I would go Murray over the other option there too, but yeah, I like Musgrave more than Latavius Murray. Aaron Jones or Jerome Ford or JT, pick 2. This one's difficult, and I kind of think the answer, I have Aaron Jones 1 spot ahead of JT, and I think it's the first 2 here, just because of the matchup for JT. If this wasn't a matchup against the Browns, I think I would go JT and Ford. You definitely need to start Jerome Ford, though, with Kareem Hunt looking unlikely to play. McLaurin or Myers? Yeah, I do like Myers more than McLaurin because of the weather projection. Musgrave or Pitts? It's Musgrave over Pitts. AJ Dillon, Henderson, Najee, or Jaleel? We're in shambles this week. So many people in shambles this week. Week 7, the week of being in shambles. AJ Dillon, Henderson, Najee, Jaleel. It's Najee here. You got to go Najee over these guys. As bad as Najee's been, he still is going to touch the ball almost definitely more than all of these players. What's up, Sam? What's going on, everyone? Full PPR pick 2, Addison, Watson, Ford. Yeah, this is not an easy one at all. I think I do have Watson 1 spot behind Jordan Addison. It's a better matchup for Watson than it is Addison, and I don't think you can bench Jerome Ford. I think Jerome Ford needs to be started over Addison and Watson. As high as the ceiling is for both these guys in PPR formats, let's compare these two, Addison and Watson, here on the YouTube Live. I think that both guys have a really high ceiling. God, yeah, I think it's Addison. I would go Addison over Watson. Walter agrees with me. It's close. It's a super, super close call for sure. But yeah, I go Ford and Addison here over Christian Watson. All 3 are solid options, though, for sure. Hey, Sam, who would you start over Goff on waivers? Yes, let me pull up my QB rankings because I really think you got to be careful with Jared Goff with the weather projection in that game. You like DJ Moore this week? Yep, I like DJ Moore this week. He definitely can be started. What should I be looking to trade Eckler PPR? I'm 1 and 5. Yeah, I don't think you should trade for Eckler. I don't think you should trade Eckler away, even if you're 1 and 5. I think you should hold Eckler. He's a top 3 running back rest of the season. All right, so my quarterback rankings are up on the screen. I'm starting Stafford, Deshaun, Russ, Geno Smith, Josh Dobbs, Desmond Ridder, and Kirk Cousins. I'm starting all those guys over Goff. I prefer Brock Purdy and Jordan Love, though. If you can get those guys, both those guys are top 8 quarterbacks for me this week. So great options, guys. Make sure even if I get to your start sit, but especially if I don't get to your start sit, I'm going to get to thousands of start sits on this live stream. Go to the WalterPicks app. It's free to install. It's in the YouTube description. It's in the iOS and Android app stores for free. It's in the TikTok bio. The WalterPicks app is going to help you with your start sits. It's going to help you with trades. It's going to help you with everything to do with fantasy and betting, and it's totally free. And if you use creator code SAM when you download the app and sign up for the first time, you'll get a free 7-day free trial on all the premium subscription has to offer, which is League Sync, Bet Sync. I mean, so much premium insights to get for free in the WalterPicks app that are going to help you out. Really do appreciate that. It's the best way you can possibly support me. All right. Good morning, Sam. George Kittle or Jonnu Smith. I feel like Kittle is a huge risk. No, I don't. I really don't think Kittle is a huge risk, especially in comparison to Jonnu Smith. I mean, like if we take a step back for a second, all tight ends, basically all tight ends not named Travis Kelce are pretty huge risks. I mean, maybe Mark Andrews, Hawkinson, and some of these other top guys you can put in that category. But for me, I mean, Kittle is one of the best tight end options of the week. I'm not only starting those top three ahead of him, Kelce, Hawkinson, Andrews. I'm starting Kittle over Goddard, over Laporta, over Musgrave, over Darren Waller, over Michael Mayer, and definitely over Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts. I think Kittle, without Deebo Samuel in the lineup, Kittle gets a lot more intriguing because the target share is going to get condensed for the 49ers. All of a sudden, CMC, too, he's 50-50 to play on Monday. That's good news for George Kittle as well. So, yeah, I think Kittle, in kind of a good matchup against the Vikings, is a very, very good option. Why sit Jordan Mason? Because I just prefer Elijah Mitchell over him, and CMC still could play. A Darrell Henderson or Foreman, Rams or Bucks defense. Yeah, I lean Darrell Henderson over Royce Freeman, but I lean Deontay Foreman over Darrell Henderson. Some similar names there. And then Rams or Bucks defense. Yeah, I lean Rams defense over Bucks defense. Hey, Sam, I'm 0-6 and need a win. Yeah, we cannot be going 0-7. We cannot be doing it. Ford, Puka, and Waddle at flex PPR. Yeah, I don't know how you're 0-6. You got three really good options here in your flex spot. And I think I have Waddle one spot ahead of Puka. I think it's Waddle. I think it's Waddle over Puka. I mean, oh man, all these guys are such good options. I want to start all of them. I'm starting Puka and Waddle in PPR, though, over Jerome Ford, as much as I like Jerome Ford this week with Kareem Hunt unlikely to play. Do I start Watson now? He's likely playing. Yet Deshaun Watson is startable. There's a few tight ends I like more than Deshaun Watson, though. And yeah, I would rank these guys as Waddle, then Puka, then Ford in PPR, and all of them are really good options in my opinion. I asked Walter, and it's so close. So who do you say? Pick two: Aaron Jones, Pacheco, Hawkinson, Lockett. Yeah, if this is a PPR league, I think you go Lockett and Aaron Jones. Let me see where I have Pacheco ranked. I actually have Pacheco one spot ahead of Aaron Jones. So yeah, I think you go Pacheco and Lockett. I would go Pacheco and Lockett. If it's not a PPR league, I'd go Pacheco and Aaron Jones. I'm not starting Hawkinson here. I would not consider Hawkinson in this one. Puka or Bijan? Yeah, you can't bench Bijan. You can't do it. He's not benchable. Hey, Sam, pick three. Ford, Cook, Mondre, Rice. Definitely you're starting Jerome Ford here. James Cook versus Ramondre Stevenson. I think I lean towards James Cook. I do. I think I would go Ford, Cook, and Rice if this is PPR. If it's not PPR, I would go Ford, Cook, and Mondre. And I do appreciate you guys. Let me know the scoring settings in your start sits, especially for the receivers and running backs. Is it PPR? Is it half PPR? Is it non-PPR? This does affect the start sit answers. And this is also part of the reason why the WalterPicks app is unmatched, because it takes into account your custom scoring settings for your start sit analysis. I'm seeing some Julio Jones questions, guys. Julio Jones, I think, probably should stay on the waiver wire. Like, if you really have enough bench spots, you can put him on your bench, but he's not going to be startable in fantasy anytime soon. Purdy or Deshaun Watson? Yeah, I like Purdy more than Deshaun for sure. Let me pull my QB rankings again. I got my favorite guys that you can go pick up on the waiver wire in a lot of leagues. Fringe back-end QB1s for me this week, Jordan Love and Brock Purdy. I think both guys are really, really good options. I actually have Jordan Love one spot ahead of Brock Purdy in my rankings because of the matchup with the Broncos, but Purdy is a good matchup against the Vikings as well. Even without Deebo Samuel, I'd like Brock Purdy a decent amount. All right, let's get to this one. Drake London or Brian Robinson in a PPR league. I'd lean Brian Robinson over Drake London. Deontay Johnson or JSN, full PPR. Yeah, I'm not benching JSN for Deontay Johnson. I really do like Deontay Johnson a lot, but JSN without Metcalf at 100% is a really, really good option against the Arizona Cardinals. Javonte or McLaughlin. Got to go Javonte over McLaughlin for sure. Najee or Algier. I would go Najee over Algier. Mark Andrews or Kittle. It's Mark Andrews for me over Kittle. They're pretty close, honestly, though. Very, very close. Tony Pickens. Let me pull this Tony one up. I don't like Tony at all. Would you trade DK Metcalf for Montre and Goddard? I think it's fair if you need a tight end. Goddard is one of the few tight ends I think is interesting to trade for. Tony Pickens or Flowers PPR. Yeah, I'd go Flowers. I'd go Flowers over Tony for sure, and I'd go Pickens over Tony, and I'd go Flowers over Pickens as well. Flowers or Addison. Yeah, I like Addison more than Flowers. There's significant weather in that Ravens game. Sustained winds around 20 miles an hour, wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. Hey, Sam, pick one in flex, non-PPR, Brian Robinson, Gibbs, Amari, and Christian Watson. You got to go with one of the running backs in non-PPR, and I think I'd lean B-Rob over Gibbs in non-PPR just barely. In PPR, it's definitely Gibbs over B-Rob. But in non-PPR, I think I'd probably go B-Rob, Brian Robinson over Jameer Gibbs. Dotson or Robinson? Yeah, do not start Jahan Dotson. Definitely go Robinson. Michael Mayer or Latavius Murray at flex. God, I hate starting two tight ends. I think I'd go Latavius Murray over Michael Mayer in the flex. Morning, Sam. What do? I put Palmer or Evans at my flex or just keep McCaffrey in? Yeah, so it all depends. Like, I think McCaffrey over Palmer is fine. This is like right where the line is for me. It's right where the line is because like I'm starting – elite options over McCaffrey. Obviously you're not doing that most weeks, but because he's 50-50 to play on Monday night, it's a really, really tough spot to be in, Cameron. If you're playing it safe by starting Josh Palmer over McCaffrey, I would start Evans over McCaffrey. Palmer's much closer for me, and I think that I lean towards going Josh Palmer over CMC just barely in a game that should be pretty high scoring, but it's a tough call. And if you do start CMC, make sure you put him in the flex and make sure that you have someone else on Monday night ready to go because he might not play. Good morning, Sam. DJ Moore, Christian Watson, PPR. Yeah, this is a really, really tough one, I think, this week. I have them really close here in my rankings. I got DJ Moore still 2 spots ahead of Christian Watson, so I would go DJ Moore over Christian Watson. Hey, Sam, do you think Juwan Jennings or Ray McLeod are plays? Yeah, I'd go Juwan over Ray McLeod personally if I had to choose between those guys, but neither of them are great options. They're both good backup options, though, if you have CMC and need to stash someone in that game. Who do I start PPR flex spots? Deontay Johnson, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Ramondre Stevenson, pick 2. Yeah, it's DJ Moore here, and I think I have Deontay Johnson. I do, just 2 spots ahead of Godwin, and he's got a better matchup than Godwin. Deontay, historically, better PPR option than Godwin. I think Deontay is going to be at full steam today, so yeah, I'm going Deontay over Godwin. Amari or Addison? It's Amari Cooper over Addison. I like Addison a lot this week, but not more than Amari Cooper. Guys, the free player prop of the day, it is Jackson Smith-Njigba, over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards. I can almost guarantee, I don't like to make guarantees, but I can almost guarantee that this line will at least move over the next few hours with the DK Metcalf reports. And as of this morning, you could get this on FanDuel with plus odds over 3.5 receptions, which I think is crazy. Last game, Jackson Smith-Njigba played by far the most he's played this season. And he also ran the most routes he ran this season. And there's a lot of context behind Jackson Smith-Njigba playing more too. They got the left tackle back, their starting left tackle, letting them play more 11 personnel for the Seahawks, and that means more Jackson Smith-Njigba on the field. And then on top of all of that, DK Metcalf is not as healthy right now as he was at this time last week. That's good news for JSN, who had 4 catches, 48 yards last week with a healthier DK Metcalf in a much tougher matchup. So take JSN over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards. I like this prop a lot today. All right, Craig Reynolds or Darrell Henderson or Latavius Murray. We're down bad with some of these running back start sits. I mean, man, the running back drop off is insane from like the top 10 to the top 20 to the top 30 is just colossal, massive drop offs there. And we're seeing it in some of these start sit questions this week with Craig Reynolds, Darrell Henderson, and Latavius Murray. And let me pull up the running back rankings here because I actually think this one's pretty close between Latavius and Henderson. I am not starting Craig Reynolds in any situation, really. I have Latavius Murray here. I'm actually going to move Craig Reynolds down. I would start Latavius, then Henderson, then Craig Reynolds. And they're actually back to back in my running back rankings right at the end of the top 30. And by the way, if you're watching live on TikTok, on the YouTube Live, if you come to the YouTube Live, you get my top 25 rankings every position. Tua or Sam Howell? Yeah, it's got to be Tua for sure over Sam Howell. So let me, again, go through the weather in the games because there's some significant weather to be aware of. And Sam Howell is not startable today. Sam Howell is playing the Giants in a good matchup, but also in a game that has sustained winds around 20 miles an hour and wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. So bad news for Sam Howell. Also bad news for Jared Goff playing against the Ravens. Sustained winds around 15 to 20 miles an hour and wind gusts 25 to 30 miles an hour. That's bad news for sure. Jordan in the TikTok live. Good morning, Sam. Good morning to you, Jordan. Full PPR. Should I start Tyler Lockett or Zay Flowers at the flex? It's got to be Lockett with DK Metcalf looking highly questionable. True game time decision. Even if Metcalf plays, he's not going to be at full steam. You got to go with Lockett. All right. Let me pull up the DraftKings lineup here on the YouTube live. If you're playing on DraftKings today, I really like stacking Jordan Love with Christian Watson and Luke Musgrave. I also like going with at least one of Kenneth Walker or Jackson Smith and Jigba. And my favorite wide receivers, high-priced receivers to go with, Puka Nacua, Keenan Allen. You got to get a piece of this Chargers Chiefs game for sure on the DraftKings slate. Keenan Allen, I think, is the best way to do that. Josh Palmer is an interesting route to that as well, as is Austin Eckler, who's the highest priced running back, though. And I really think you got to play Jerome Ford in all DraftKings lineups, tournaments, and head-to-head contests today. Jerome Ford is a top 8 running back today, with Kareem Hunt looking unlikely to play. Samuel or Pickens, you got to go Pickens over Samuel. Happy Football Sunday, buddy. Happy Football Sunday to you as well, Joey. Davis, Rice, Dobbs, full PPR, pick one for flex. It's Rice, I think. It's between, honestly, all three of these guys, I guess, have some legs. This week, good matchup for Dobbs. I think kind of an interesting matchup for Gabe Davis, with the Pats going to be really focusing in on Steph Diggs. But yeah, for me, it's Rashee Rice in this game against the Chargers. Dream matchup for Rashee Rice. He's been the most productive receiver for the Chiefs. I think his ceiling is really high. Why sit McLaurin? Because there's going to be 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts in that Commanders game. That is not good news. Bourne or Downs? Yeah, I lean towards Downs over Kendrick Bourne. Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, or Ford. Start two of those guys. Yeah, it's Jacobs and Ford, I think, over Aaron Jones. Yeah, I've Jacobs at 7, Ford at 8, and I've Jones down at number 11 running back, just because he's coming off the hamstring injury. I think without any limitations, Aaron Jones probably would be better than both these guys given the matchup, but last time Jones went out, he re-injured his hamstring injury. You can't expect like huge volume for Aaron Jones in this game. So I lean towards Josh Jacobs, Jerome Ford, both being better options than Aaron Jones. TikTok live. I'll be right back. Experiencing a little bit of lag again on my end, but I'll restart the live again in just a second. All right, let's get back to some of these start sits in the YouTube live. Rashee Rice or JT standard PPR. Standard PPR is a weird way to say PPR, but yeah, I think I would go JT over Rashee Rice in both formats. Definitely would go JT over Rashee Rice in a non-PPR format pretty easily. And PPR, I still think it's JT over Rashee Rice. Deontay Foreman or Algier. Yeah, I'd go Foreman over Algier. Not a great matchup this week for Algier against the Bucs. Is Brandon Ayuk a top 10 wide receiver without Debo? Yeah, he is. He is a top 10 wide receiver without Debo. I have him at number 6. He's my number 6 wide receiver this week. He's a really elite option. Even with Debo Samuel, he's a good option. Without Debo Samuel, he's an elite option. I would go Addison over Rashee Rice. I'm playing Godwin over Rashee Rice and Terry McLaurin as well. I think I got Godwin over Rashee Rice. And definitely, yeah, you can't start Terry McLaurin and you can't start DK Metcalf. You can't start Terry McLaurin because there's significant wind projected in the Commanders game. Guys, wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour in that Commanders-Giants game. That is not good for Sam Howell. It is not good for Terry McLaurin. On the DK Metcalf side of things, he's dealing with a new injury on top of his rib injury, which he's been dealing with for a few weeks now. DK Metcalf also has a hip injury, and he is truly questionable for the game today. He might not play. And even if DK Metcalf plays, he's not going to be at 100%. I do not think you can trust him in your starting lineups today. I would be very cautious with DK Metcalf this week. Lock of the day. Yeah, so my favorite player prop of the day, the lock of the day, it is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Over 3.5 receptions and over 34.5 receiving yards. A great spot for him against the Cardinals. He played by far the most he's played last week against the against the Bengals. He had 4 catches, 48 yards. So he beat this prop line with a healthier DK Metcalf in a tougher matchup. Now JSN gets a better matchup with no DK Metcalf, or at least not 100% a DK Metcalf. So yeah, I really like JSN over 3.5 receptions and over 34.5 receiving yards. Those are the 2 free player props on the live stream today. We are 9-4 on the free player props on these lives. So not surprised to see people come back asking for them. What do you think about Javonte Williams this week? Yeah, he's an okay back end, mid RB2. I'd put him at. He's not going to get a huge workload, but he is in a decent matchup and should lead the Broncos in touches in that backfield. DJ Moore, Rashee Rice, or Mike Evans. Yeah, I'm going DJ Moore. Then I'm going Mike Evans. Then I'm going Rashee Rice. But DJ Moore for Mike Evans pretty easily for me Start DK. My only other option, McLaughlin and Mayer. Yeah, so you got to start DK in that spot, but just be aware DK literally might not play. So you might have to pivot from DK Metcalf if he doesn't play. But yeah, I'd start him over guys like Jaleel McLaughlin. And Michael Mayer, I'd start over Jaleel McLaughlin as well. Aaron Jones or Judy? Yeah, I'd go Aaron Jones over Judy. Yeah, I'm scared for Mike Evans, just the matchup against the Falcons. The Falcons have allowed the 5th fewest points per game to receivers this season. That game I expect to be pretty low scoring as well. I'm nervous for Baker. I'm nervous for Mike Evans in that matchup. Evans is still startable, though. It's not like he's as must-benchy as some of these other must-benches. Who should I start? Thank you for the gifts in the TikTok live, by the way. Receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson or Jameson Williams? Yeah, I'd go Wan'Dale over Jameson Williams. That Lions game has significant wind. I do not think you can trust Jameson Williams. JSN over Zay Flowers. Guys, you've got to start JSN in a lot of spots today. DK Metcalf is truly questionable. It's a good spot for JSN, who had by far his best peripheral numbers of the season last week. Highest snap percentage, highest route percentage of the season. All right. Good morning, Sam. I need help. Good morning to you, Eduardo. Good morning to everybody in this live. It's not morning for me. I've been up since for at least 4 hours at this point. AJ Dillon, Latavius Murray, Jeff Wilson, Darrell Henderson. Yeah, I think I would rank these guys. AJ Dillon, then Latavius Murray, then Darrell Henderson, then Jeff Wilson. That's how I would rank it. I think AJ Dillon has at least some upside today in a good matchup against the Broncos. I'm playing Jackson Smith and Jigba over DK Metcalf today. Let me list off the receivers I'm playing Jackson Smith and Jigba over today, because there's a lot of them. I'm playing Lockett over JSN, but I'm playing JSN over Metcalf. I want nothing to do with Metcalf. Guys, he is truly questionable to play. He has a new injury, a hip injury that he sustained last week. He is a game time decision. Even if he plays, I don't have a ton of confidence he's going to be 100%. So yeah, I'm playing JSN over Metcalf. I'm playing Jackson Smith and Jigba over Zay Flowers. I'm playing him over Deontay Johnson, over Mike Evans, over Chris Godwin, over Rashee Rice, over Jacoby Myers, over Jerry Jeudy, over Courtland Sutton, over Terry McLaurin for sure, with the weather in that game. So yeah, a lot of guys I'm playing JSN over. Here's some guys that I'm playing over JSN though. I'm playing Devontae Smith, Christian Watson. I'm still playing Jordan Addison over JSN, Marquise Brown, Michael Pittman, Drake London. Those are some guys I'm playing over Jackson Smith and Jigba to get to some of those Jackson Smith and Jigba questions. But guys, Jackson Smith and Jigba is the free player prop of the day. Over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards. Lock it in with a lot of confidence. He beat this prop line, both these prop lines last week with a healthier DK Metcalf in a harder matchup. So yeah, fire in Jackson Smith and Jigba props and start him in fantasy in a lot of spots. That is the free player prop of the day. We're 9-4 on the free player props. Why bench Terry McLaurin? Because there is significant weather to be aware of in that Commanders game. The Commanders and Giants sustained winds around 20 miles an hour. Wind gusts up to 35 miles an hour in that Giants-Commanders game. Extremely concerning for Terry McLaurin and Sam Howell. Also, the Lions and Ravens have the same weather projection. Sustained winds around 20 miles an hour. Wind gusts up to 25, 30 miles an hour. That is not good for Jared Goff. That's why Jared Goff is a must bench. That's why Sam Howell is a must bench. That's why Terry McLaurin is a must bench. Thank you for the follow. I do appreciate it in the TikTok live. JSN or Lockett. Yeah, I'm going Lockett over JSN still. Purdy or Allen here. Starting Josh Allen over Purdy for sure. Thoughts on dropping Zay Jones for Tutu or Bourne? I think I'd probably go with Bourne over Tutu. I think it's fine to drop Zay Jones if you need to. Good pre-noon Sam. I'm stressing. Start 2, Royce Freeman. Yeah, so many Royce Freeman, Darrell Henderson, Kareem Hunt, Elijah Moore. Yeah, so you're starting 2 here. If this is a PPR league, you got to go Elijah Moore here for sure. You cannot start Kareem Hunt. It does not look like Kareem Hunt's going to play. It doesn't look like he's going to play. Even if he plays, he's not 100%. You can't start Kareem Hunt. It's a similar situation with DK Metcalf as it is with Kareem Hunt. Both guys are game time decisions. Both guys are on the wrong side of questionable. And both guys, even if they play, Kareem Hunt and DK Metcalf, are not going to be at 100%. I do not want them in my starting lineups. Royce Freeman, I want nothing to do with him. Honestly, he seems like he's the best bet to lead this backfield in carries, but I think Darrell Henderson will probably lead the backfield in targets. So I lean Darrell Henderson over Royce Freeman. I don't think Royce Freeman's very good. And I think Darrell Henderson at least has some upside as a receiver. So yeah, I would go Elijah Moore and Darrell Henderson over Royce Freeman and over Kareem Hunt. Roshan Johnson is a guy that I don't want to drop. He's weird and bad situation, for Roshan with concussion. He's missed 2 games at least now with this concussion, but with Khalil Herbert injured, I want to hold on to Roshan. I think he has pretty high upside if he's able to come back. Why Mike Evans? Because Mike Evans is playing a top 5 defense in the Falcons. The Falcons have allowed the 5th fewest points per game to receivers this season. Be careful with Mike Evans today. Honestly, of all the must benches, I think Mike Evans is the least must bench. Like, he's still a back end wide receiver 2, but he's definitely not as must start like he usually is in this matchup against the Falcons. I think this Falcons-Bucs game is going to be pretty low scoring. Guys, if you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button, hit the like button. If you're watching live on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I do appreciate it. Curtis Samuel or Jaylen Warren? Yeah, it's Jalen Warren over Curtis Samuel with the weather in the Commanders game. The reason we can't start Sam Howell, we can't start Jared Goff, we can't start Terry McLaurin because there's wind in those games. Sustained wind around 20 miles an hour, wind gusts over up to 30 miles an hour. Really bad news for Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin, and Jared Goff and all the pass catchers involved in those games. It's a knock on Zay Flowers. It's a knock on Darren Waller, Jalen Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson. All these guys are knocked down a bit with the weather projection today. I still think you need to start Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, like all these elite players in those games still start. But the receivers, especially the mid receivers, especially the mid quarterbacks, you can't start these guys in a high win projected game. I am starting JSN over Zay Flowers this week, and I'm starting JSN over Deontay Johnson as well because DK Metcalf is on the wrong side of questionable, and he is not at 100%. Morning, Sam. Hope you're good. Hope you're good as well. Hope all of you are good. I appreciate everybody in this live stream. Seriously, look forward to these lives so much throughout the week. And thank you all for spending some time in these lives. Seriously, appreciate it a lot. And if I can't get to your start sit, I get to thousands of start sits on these lives. Like we're just getting started. We're not even halfway through the live. I'm going to get to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more start sits. I'm going to try to get to every single one. But realistically, I can't. And if I can't get to your start sit, the best place to go is the WalterPicks app. It's free. It's the best way to support me as a creator is downloading the WalterPicks app. Use creator code SAM when you sign up. That does help me out. And it's a free app. It's going to help you with start sits. It's going to help you with trades. And if you use creator code SAM, you can also get a free 7-day free trial for all the premium features, which are just going to help you crush your fantasy leagues and your betting. That's for free in the TikTok bio, in the iOS and Android app store, in the YouTube description. The WalterPicks app is the best way you can help me out. All right, let's get to this start sit here. We got two quarterbacks here, Stafford, Watson, Goff, and it's a 6-point passing TD. Yes, you got to bench Goff. With the weather in this game, you have to bench Jared Goff. It's disappointing because Goff's been good this season. It's not a horrible matchup. But you got to start Stafford and Watson over Goff, in my opinion, because of the wind in that Lions game. Also pick one, running back and 3 flex. Amari, Evans, Aaron Jones, DJ Moore. Yeah, I'm benching Mike Evans. This is why I have Mike Evans as a must bench on the TikTok live, because I'm starting guys like DJ Moore, like Aaron Jones, like Amari Cooper over him this week. All right, JSN, Sutton or Gabe Davis, start one. Yeah, so anyone that's been in this live, for more than, 10 minutes knows that I'm going to answer JSN to this question because JSN is the free player prop of the day, over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards for JSN. Lock that prop in. I'm expecting this line to move if it already hasn't moved. There's a good chance DK Metcalf doesn't play today. And even if he plays, he's not 100%. And JSN had his best usage of the season last week in terms of snaps and routes. And he has a better matchup this week than last week. And he cleared those prop lines last week against the Bengals. So yeah, I do like that spot for JSN. And he's definitely startable in a lot of spots today. Hey, Sam, Walter showing very close. Superflex, Howell, Gibbs, or DJ Moore. Yeah, I'm benching Howell here, Steven. If you have options like Gibbs and DJ Moore, I think I lean Gibbs over DJ Moore, but it's a really close one, honestly. I think I'd lean Gibbs over DJ Moore, though, just slightly. And I'd play them both over Sam Howell today with the wind projection in that game. Should I bench Pittman for Zay Flowers? No, I like Pittman more than Zay Flowers. Sup, Samuel, what's going on? What are your thoughts on Jeff Wilson over Craig Reynolds? Yeah, I have Jeff Reynolds over Craig Reynolds. By the way, if you're watching live on TikTok, guys, come to the YouTube live. The link to the YouTube live is right in the TikTok bio. You're 2 presses of your finger away from the YouTube live. And on the YouTube live, I have my top 35 wide receivers scrolling at the bottom of the list. The top 35 running backs scrolling at the bottom of the YouTube live. It's going to get to so many of the starts that I can't get to. So the YouTube live, it's just as free. It's just a better viewing experience. Link to that's right in the TikTok bio if you're watching live on TikTok. I got Jeff Wilson over Craig Reynolds, just barely. I don't feel good about this one. I don't feel good about either of these guys. But yeah, Jeff Wilson at least I think has a little bit more upside than Craig Reynolds does. Craig Reynolds is not healthy, and he's not going to see many snaps behind Jahmyr Gibbs. Sam Howell or Baker Mayfield this week? Yeah, I'm going Baker over Sam Howell. I don't like either of them, but I'm going Baker over Sam Howell because of the weather in that Commanders game. London or Evans? Yeah, I'd go Drake London over Evans. Do I start Deontay Johnson or Zay Flowers? I got Deontay over Zay Flowers this week too with the weather projection in that Ravens game. I do think that makes sense. Julio Jones is active. He's going to be active. Will he play? Maybe. Will he do anything? Probably not. Probably not. I'm excited that he's back in the league, but we're getting a much different Julio Jones than we're historically used to. Raiders, Rams, Bucks, or Giants D? Yeah, I like the Rams. I like the Bucks defense more than the Giants, but I like the Giants defense too. I don't think I like the Raiders defense all that much. What are your thoughts on Jeff Wilson over Craig Reynolds? Yeah, I think I already got to that one. Ford or Pacheco? Both these guys are really good options this week, and I actually think I have Ford. I do. I have Jerome Ford ahead of Isaiah Pacheco. I got my running back rankings up on the YouTube live right now. Does the weather impact Brian Robinson over Gibbs? Yeah, so I the weather only helps Brian Robinson, right? Because he is the go-to back in terms of carries for the Commanders. It doesn't necessarily help him like that much though, right? If the Commanders are, if they are unable to throw the ball deep, which I don't think they're going to have much success with, it does make the offense a little more one-dimensional, which makes it just easier to stop the run for the defense too. I still think I go Gibbs over Brian Robinson, especially if it's a PPR league. DK Metcalf is on the wrong side of questionable right now. He's on the wrong side of questionable. So it is like, I'd say 70-30 that he doesn't play. He still might play, but even if he plays, he is not going to be 100%. All right, we're getting a big report here from Adam Schefter right now that's going to ease a lot of people's tough decisions here about Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey, all signs point to 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey playing Monday night at Minnesota, despite the fact that he's questionable. McCaffrey returned to practice, and he said he feels great. So start Christian McCaffrey. I'm actually going to move CMC up here a little bit in the running back rankings per this report, because I was saying throughout this live, my lean was that 50-50 for CMC to play. It feels more like 80-20 now for CMC to play. So I'm going to move him up to, I think, right here, right at number 11 in my rankings. I still don't think we see CMC get his normal workload, but he's still top 10, top 11 at least running back. Actually, I think he's top 10, even ahead of Pacheco here and ahead of Gibbs. I'm putting him at number 9 in my running back rankings. I would still start Jerome Ford over CMC, but that's where we draw the line for CMC. It does sound like CMC is going to play. That's great news if you have CMC on your team. I have buys this week. So for flex, should I pick up Smith and Jigba or A.J. Dillon since he plays Broncos and Jones is limited? Pick up Smith and Jigba. Pick up JSN. The ceiling for JSN and A.J. Dillon, not comparable. JSN has top 10 wide receiver upside this week against the Cardinals. DK Metcalf is not healthy. It is likely that he does not play this week. I'd say 70% chance DK Metcalf doesn't play. That's my feel on that report right now. He's a true game time decision. Even if Metcalf plays, though, he's not at 100%. London or JT at flex. Yeah, I lean JT over London. JT's role is only increasing. This is why Zach Moss is a must bench. That's why JT is a solid start this week, even in a tough matchup against a top 5 run defense in the Cleveland Browns. Devontae Adams or Ayuk for my flex. 4-man league questions that you love. Yeah, I'm going Ayuk over Devontae Adams in this 4-man league for you here, Josh. I do love the 4-man league. The 4-man leagues. All right, Judy or Downs. Yeah, I'm going Judy over Downs. Goff or Watson. It's got to be Watson over Goff. So you got to bench Goff and Sam Howell. Find different options than Jared Goff and Sam Howell. There is wind around 20 miles an hour in those games, and there's going to be wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. So get off of Jared Goff, get off of Sam Howell. Neither of these guys can be trusted this week. I prefer so many quarterbacks over them. I like Jordan Love more than both of them. I like Brock Purdy more than both of them. Matthew Stafford, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson over Goff and over Sam Howell. I like Geno Smith. I like Josh Jacobs, even Desmond Ridder. I would start over Goff and Sam Howell, even Kirk Cousins. So that's also why we're benching Terry McLaurin, because there's significant wind projected in that Commanders game. It's going to be really, really hard to throw the ball deep. I'm seeing an Eckler or Gibbs question this week. And yeah, you got to go Gibbs in a lot of spots, but not over Austin Eckler. Eckler is my number 1 running back this week. It's not particularly close. You got to be starting Austin Eckler for sure. Why Bijan over Jacobs? Yeah, Jacobs has the better matchup. And I saw a question on TikTok Live. Do you trust Jacoby Myers this week? I don't have that much faith in the Raiders offense just in general. I mean, Brian Hoyer, guys, is as old as Tom Brady. Brian Hoyer, the last time Brian Hoyer had more than 210 passing yards was 2017. I mean, 6 years ago. He hasn't started many games, obviously, since then, but for good reason. Brian Hoyer is probably the worst starting quarterback of the week this week, even worse than Tyson Bagent for the Bears. So, yeah, I'm not very excited for the Raiders offense today. Jacobs is definitely still a good start, though. They're going to lean really heavily on him, and it's a good matchup for him. I think Bijan is still a slightly more exciting option. Maybe Josh Jacobs should be ahead of Bijan, though. I actually think there's a case for that. I'm actually going to adjust this right now. The more I think through that one, I think that Bijan probably deserves to be more like here in these running back rankings. So yeah, I'm okay going with Josh Jacobs over Bijan in a tough matchup against the Bucs for Bijan. But Bijan obviously has been much better than Jacobs this season, despite the insane volume Josh Jacobs is seeing. Hey, Sam, Puka Nacua or Rashee Rice at flex? Yeah, so I'm excited about Rashee Rice, but we're not starting him over Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua is still a top 12 running back, top 12 wide receiver option for sure. He saw 33% target share last week, So despite a down fantasy game, the volume is still there for Puka Nacua. He's got to be started for sure. A Javonte or Wandale. Yeah, I'd go Javonte over Wandale. Again, there's significant wind in the Commanders. Giants game, significant wind in the Lions. Ravens game. This is a good tiebreaker. Bro really said, what did Bro really say? Said Giants for tight end. I don't even know what that means. Should I drop Hubbard for Jeff Wilson? I don't think I would do that. Hey, Sam, Puka Nacua over Rashee Rice. Yeah, we got to go Puka over Rashee Rice for sure. Aaron Jones or Brian Robinson. I think I lean towards Aaron Jones over Brian Robinson. Yeah, I got them 2 spots apart in my running back rankings. Aaron Jones gets the Broncos. He's not 100%. He's probably not going to be 100% of his role yet, but he is still a good start against the Broncos. Devontae is still a must start, yes, despite Brian Hoyer playing. I'm definitely a little nervous about Brian Hoyer, but I also believe that the complaining that Devontae Adams did all week is going to lead to significant target volume for him. I am playing JSN over Godwin. Deshaun Watson does look like he's going to play. JSN, Rice, Pickens, and Y. Yeah, so it's JSN. And let me tell you why you got to play JSN over Rice and why you got to play JSN over Pickens. And I think I'm playing Rice over Pickens too. So I'm benching Pickens. I'm nervous about Pickens' floor with Deontay Johnson being back. We're not going to see the same target volume for George Pickens. Deontay Johnson's almost definitely going to get more targets than George Pickens, like we've seen in so many games in the past. I like Rashee Rice's ceiling, but of all these guys, I think Jackson Smith and Jig was the most exciting. And that's because, and it's also why he's the free player prop of the day. Over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards. Guys, the reason that I like JSN, it's the DK Metcalf injury. DK Metcalf is a true game time decision. He is not 100%. He's got not only a rib injury, but he's also now dealing with a hip injury, and he's on the wrong side of questionable right now. True game time decision. Even if DK plays, you got to expect JSN to be more involved than DK Metcalf this week. And then on top of that, the Seahawks, they've been playing more 11 personnel because they got their starting left tackle back, Charles Cross. I actually don't know if he's left tackle or right tackle, but they're playing more 11 personnel. That means more JSN on the field. He got over this prop line with ease last week. He had 4 catches, 48 yards, and that was in a tougher matchup against the Bengals. He gets a better matchup this week against the Cardinals. So I definitely like JSN as a fantasy play and a JSN as a prop play. I'm playing JSN over DK. If DK plays, I'm still going JSN over DK because I don't think DK is going to be at 100%. And I honestly, right now, don't even think he's going to play. Hey, Sam, Godwin or Palmer? Yeah, I'm going Godwin over Josh Palmer. I'm playing, Lockett versus Cooper, I think is actually pretty close. I do think Deshaun will play today. That's why I have Amari Cooper 1 spot ahead of Tyler Lockett. Thank you for the subscriber in the TikTok Live. Seriously, appreciate all the TikTok Live subscribers. If you subscribe to the TikTok Live, which I think costs, $5 maybe, I'll get to every single one of your comments 100% of the time. Every single time I see a subscriber comment, I will get to it. Appreciate the follows as well on the TikTok Live. And everyone in this live stream, guys, thank you so much for being here. We're going to get through all the start sits. We're going to talk to all the important players, all the players we're seeing a lot in these start sits. And I look forward to this all week. So thank you so much for supporting the live and tuning in. And I'm here to help, guys. I'm here to help make the best possible start sit decisions we can. We got a little over an hour left in this live stream. I need serious help. Yeah, Lucas, a lot of people are in complete shambles this week. We got 6 bye weeks. We got DK Metcalf injured. We got 2 games with significant wind in this game too. Thank you for the subscriber again in the TikTok Live. Seriously appreciate it. All right, we got Jaleel McLaughlin or Tyler Algier. You were awesome. Appreciate you. Thank you, Lucas. I appreciate it, man. And I've been off of Jaleel McLaughlin for many weeks now, and at least one of those weeks backfired when Javonte was out. But yeah, I'm going Tyler Algier over McLaughlin, despite the much different matchups for the 2 guys this week. Okay. TikTok Live subscribers. Again, I will prioritize your comments when I see them. Okay. Goff can't be started. Yeah. There's significant wind in that game. I'm playing Romeo Doubs over Dallas Goedert. I really don't like starting 2 tight ends when I don't need to. Why start Marky Carb? Thanks for subscribing to the TikTok Live. Really do appreciate it. I'm going, I think, Deshaun over Russ. I actually think I changed that one earlier in this live. And yeah, I do have Deshaun over Russ. It's a better matchup for Deshaun than Russ. That's kind of the bottom line. All right, Andrew, I got 6 players on bye. Start 1, Kendrick Bourne, Josh Palmer, AJ Dillon, or Justice Hill. Yeah, Josh Palmer's got to be the start here for sure. Josh Palmer over Kendrick Bourne, Josh Palmer over AJ Dillon, Josh Palmer over Justice Hill as well. Where is wind? Yeah, so there's Weatherman Sam. Let me put my Weatherman hat on quickly. I actually should get like a Weatherman hat for these lives. I got to get on that. But there's 2 games with significant wind. So first of all, let me get to the TikTok Live subscriber question. JSN, London, Pickens. Yeah, you bench Pickens. Start JSN, start Drake London over George Pickens, especially with Deontay Johnson back. All right, so the 2 games with significant wind. It is the Commanders at the Giants. Sustained winds around 20 miles an hour, wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. It's going to be difficult to throw the ball deep in this game. That's not good news for Sam Howell It's not good news for Terod Taylor. It's not good news for Terry McLaurin, Darren Waller, Jalen Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson. It's okay news for Brian Robinson and Saquon, but really, like, might not even be great in general. I think this game's gonna be super low scoring. I like the Giants defense on DraftKings and just in general as a flyer defense this week because of the wind in this game. But yeah, this game's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be really, really hard to throw. Brian, thanks for subscribing to the TikTok Live. Really do appreciate that. Again, I will prioritize all subscribers to the TikTok Live comments. It's like $5 to subscribe to the TikTok Live or something like that. Huge support from me. I do appreciate it. Why Mike Evans? So yeah, Mike Evans is playing a top 5 Falcons defense. They're 5th fewest points allowed to receivers. Mike Evans is like a back-end wide receiver too. I think I've ranked right around wide receiver 25. Lev, thanks for the gifts to the TikTok Live. All right, the other game with wind. So the Commanders-Giants game. Don't start Sam Howell. Don't start Terry McLaurin. It's terrifying wind in that game. The other game that has a very similar scary wind is the Lions and Ravens game, which is a little disappointing because this game could have been really, really fun, and it still might be pretty fun. But this is why you can't start Jared Goff. Goff has been great this season, but in a game with wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour, start DJ Moore. He has a D3 quarterback throwing to him. Hey, in that D3, come on, give Tyson Bagent the respect. He was a Division II quarterback. He was also arguably the best Division II quarterback of all time. I was doing some research on him this week, and I think that Tyson Bagent, we saw it last week a little bit. He's good enough to at least pepper DJ Moore with targets to the point that DJ Moore still startable in fantasy. I have James Cook, B-Rob, CMC. Who should be my 2? Zay Flowers and Flex PPR. Yeah, so I'm playing with the most recent report we just got. Christian McCaffrey is going to play. It sounds like on Monday night. I'm saying like 80 or 90% chance he plays. He's probably going to be at like 70 to 80% of his role. Even if he's at 50% of his role, though, CMC is probably still a top 10 running back in PPR league. So you got to start CMC, I think, still, despite him being questionable technically on Monday. We just got an Adam Schefter report saying he's likely going to play. And then B-Rob, James Cook. I think that B-Rob's a better option than James Cook, just slightly. Today, and then Zay Flowers and Flex PPR. Yeah, I think I'm fine with Zay Flowers over James Cook. That's how I would do it. Goff is my only choice this week. Yeah, so here's some quarterbacks I like more than Goff. And I think that like I like Goff a lot more than Sam Howell. Both guys have similar scary wind in their games, but I definitely would play Goff over Howell. Some quarterbacks that you might be able to find that I'd like over Jared Goff. I like Jordan Love more than him. I like Brock Purdy more than him this week. Matthew Stafford, Deshaun Watson is a better start for me than Goff, again, because there's going to be wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour in Jared Goff's game. I like Russell Wilson, Geno Smith. I would even play Josh Dobbs over Sam Howell and over Jared Goff. I'd like Ritter and Kirk Cousins more than them as well. You're not playing JSN over Puka Nacua. They said bench Moss every game and you're wrong. Yeah, I have said bench Moss like most games, and I have been wrong most games, but I have been right about the trend for Zach Moss, and the trend is going down for Zach Moss in terms of his volume. Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor are going in opposite directions. Zach Moss had a season low 49% snap share last week. He only had 7 carries. He happened to score a touchdown, and he happened to also get 6 catches last week. So he had a good fantasy game, but the volume's going straight down for Zach Moss. I mean, he went from 82% of the snaps to 49% of the snaps last week. I think he's going to go down closer to 25, 30% of the snaps this week. He only had 7 carries, and it's also a horrible matchup for Zach Moss against the Browns. They're a top 5 defense against basically every position. So yeah, I'm down on Zach Moss for sure. All right, let's make sure we are cool. All right, I think I got to all the subscriber questions in the TikTok Live. Again, if you subscribe to the TikTok Live, I will get to your question. I promise you. And I also probably will do the last 10 minutes of this live stream. I'll probably do with just the TikTok Live subscribers. So you will get your questions answered 100%. Appreciate the follows in the TikTok Live as well. Sam, help me out with this one, Lamar or Purdy. Yeah, so if you come to the YouTube Live, if you're watching live on TikTok, I got my top 25 rankings every position up on the YouTube Live, and I am going with Lamar over Purdy barely. I got Lamar at number 5. I got Purdy at number 8. But yeah, I think Lamar, even with the wind in that game, like Lamar is a special quarterback, of course. I'd argue, and I've been arguing, I think for maybe 3 years even now. But it's been more and more clear every single year, really. But Lamar is the best rushing quarterback of all time, like pure rushing quarterback, best rushing quarterback of all time. He's every single rushing record basically among quarterbacks already, and he's still pretty young. So Lamar Jackson still a top 5 quarterback despite the wind, because what he loses in passing yards, he can gain in rushing yards, and rushing yards are worth way more fantasy points than passing yards. Jerome Ford or Aaron Jones? Yeah, I'm going Ford over Aaron Jones. I think Jerome Ford's a solid option today. Good matchup against the Colts. Kareem Hunt's looking unlikely to play. I think he's a really, really good option. Need your help. Flowers or Myers due to wins? Yeah, so I still lean Zay Flowers over Jacoby Myers. It's a close one. I think Zay Flowers is one of these guys that at least has still some upside despite the wind, because he can make plays with the ball in his hands. Like, he can generate yards after the catch, even if his catches are right around the line of scrimmage. So yeah, I think I'd lean Zay Flowers over Jacoby still, especially just I have no excitement about Brian Hoyer. And I think that Devontae Adams is going to see so many targets today with all the complaining he did this week. All right, JSN or Addison, please. Yeah, I'd lean Addison over JSN. I like Jahmyr Gibbs because Dave Montgomery's out and Craig Reynolds is injured too. And all the coach speak this week has made it pretty clear JSN's probably going to see around 20 touches today. Higbee or Musgrave? Yes, Musgrave for sure. I really, really like Luke Musgrave. I got my DraftKings lineup pulled up on the screen right now on the YouTube live, and we cashed in tournaments with my DraftKings lineup last week's live. And I think we're going to cash again. Honestly, I like this one a lot. And I'm stacking Jordan Love with Luke Musgrave in my DraftKings lineup. I really like that stack. There's not a better spot, guys. There's not a better spot to be as an NFL team than getting your bye week and then getting to play the Broncos after your bye week. I mean, they've been the worst defense in the league. You get your bye week to prepare for them. I like Jordan Love today for that reason. I like Christian Watson. I like Luke Musgrave, and I think Aaron Jones, even A.J. Dillon in some tough spots are okay. You got to start Lockett over DK Metcalf, and I'm starting JSN over DK Metcalf this week too. There's a good chance DK Metcalf does not play. He is truly questionable. So yeah, I'm going McLaurin over DK too, even though I want nothing to do with McLaurin because of the weather in that game. I need a running back, Latavius, McKinnon, Henderson, or Justice. PPR, yeah, I think it's between Latavius and Justice Hill here. I honestly lean towards Latavius. I don't feel good about any of these guys, of course. You're 0-6. I can kind of see why. But yeah, I think I lean Latavius. Morning, Sam. Good morning to you, Ryan. Year 3. Crazy to see what Walter has become. Yeah, Ryan, appreciate it, man. And I appreciate all the people that have been here multiple years. I mean, it's all grown so much, and it's all because of the people that, like you, Ryan, that are coming back to these lives and continuing to support. Seriously, thank you to everyone in these lives right now. I appreciate everyone's support so much. This is a dream come true to be able to do this as my job, and I look forward to this all week. So yeah, thank you, Ryan. Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, JSN, and Christian Watson, Walter to the moon. Yeah, so I would bench Mike Evans in a spot like this. This is why I have Mike Evans as a must bench on the TikTok live, because of the matchup for Mike Evans. He's playing the Falcons. They've been 5th best against receivers this season. And I think there's a lot of people out there like you, Ryan, in spots like this where I would bench Mike Evans for Zay Flowers. I would bench Mike Evans for JSN, and I'd bench Mike Evans for Christian Watson too. But if I had to choose 2 of these guys, it's Christian Watson and it's JSN over Zay Flowers. I think Watson's a great start today, and I like JSN a lot too. That's why JSN is the free player prop of the day. I actually have 2 free player props today, which is JSN over 3.5 receptions and JSN again over 34.5 receiving yards. I'm playing JSN over Josh Palmer. What's going on with Kareem Hunt? Yeah, Kareem Hunt is dealing with injuries. He is unlikely to play today. He's a true game time decision. Let's see. Actually, we might have got some of these actives. All right, notable inactives and actives are coming out. Deshaun Watson is in. Kareem Hunt is active today. That's big news. I still don't think he's going to be at 100% though. I still think we see more Jerome Ford, but I was expecting him to be out. So that is interesting news there with Kareem Hunt in. We got Daniel Jones out, Adoree Jackson out, Evan Neal out, Juju Smith-Schuster's out today. Hunter Henry's active. Malik Cunningham inactive today. Bailey Zappi's the backup. Jahmyr Gibbs is officially active. Craig Reynolds is officially active. And I think that Seahawks game's later in the day, so we probably aren't going to get the Seahawks report on this live. Yeah, we're not. They play at 4. So yeah, DK Metcalf, I think, is on the wrong side of questionable, but he still might play. Even if he plays, though, I don't want to start DK Metcalf. But yeah, Kareem Hunt is active. I am going to move Jerome Ford just down a tiny bit now because of this in the running back rankings. I still really think Jerome Ford's a good option, but I would put him behind, I think behind Jonathan Taylor now. It's still a good matchup for Jerome Ford, but Kareem Hunt will take work if he's active. And I did not think earlier in this live that he was going to be active. So yeah, I'm taking Jerome Ford outside of the top 10. Still a good option though. All right, need help choosing between Amari Cooper and Jerome Ford in a PPR league. Can you explain why? Yeah, so Amari Cooper over Jerome Ford for sure in a PPR league because it's PPR, and Amari Cooper's going to get much more receptions than Jerome Ford, much higher ceiling for that reason, especially with Kareem Hunt being active. I think Amari over Jerome Ford makes a lot of sense. It's an ugly week. Yeah, people are in shambles this week. Everyone's in shambles. You know, we got 6 buys. We got so many injuries. We got 2 games with significant wind too. So you can't start Goff. You can't start Sam Howell. You can't start Terry McLaurin because these games have significant wind. Even Zay Flowers in that game too. I'm scared about the wind there. I'm scared about all the Giants pass catchers, all the Commanders pass catchers, all the Ravens, all the Lions pass catchers. I still think the elite guys you got to start. But yeah, it's a down bad week. All right, Latavius Murray or Antonio Gibson. Yeah, PPR. This is a really, really close one. Let's actually do this comparison live on the YouTube Live in the WalterPicks app. By the way, guys, the best way you can support me is downloading the WalterPicks app. It's free to download in the iOS and Android app store. It's in the TikTok bio, it's in the YouTube description, and it's what you're seeing on the YouTube Live right now as we do this comparison. But yeah, you got to start. You got to check out the WalterPicks app. It's going to help you with all your fantasy and betting decisions. It's going to help you be a smarter and better fantasy manager and sports better. All right, Latavius Murray, yeah, so you got to go Murray. You got to go Latavius Murray against the Pats. I mean, they're 7.5-point favorites. Latavius Murray started the game last week. The Pats have not been very good. The Giants have been worse, obviously, against running backs than the Pats have. But yeah, Gibson, like really ugly volume, honestly, last week for Gibson. I was kind of surprised because he had an okay fantasy day because he caught a touchdown. But Gibson had 1 target and 3 carries, 4 opportunities for Gibson last week, despite a 40% snap share. I mean, just so ugly, as you put it here in the YouTube Live. So yeah, I'm off on Gibson. I'd play Latavius Murray over him. I would not start Jameson Williams. No, I don't think Marvin Jones being out changes that really at all. You think McCaffrey plays? Yeah, it does sound like per the latest Schefter report, McCaffrey is going to play. I'm pretty comfortable starting him. We're benching DK Metcalf because he is unlikely to play today. He's on the wrong side of questionable, and even if he plays, he's got hip and rib injuries. He is not 100%. Jeff Wilson Jr., yeah, he's a really big, like a really desperation play. I'd say he's a long shot to actually be valuable. Thank you for the gift in the TikTok Live. Appreciate it. Kittle or Waller? I go Kittle over Waller. I'm excited for Hardman, but I don't think he's going to be fantasy relevant. All right, Kareem Hunt, Gus, or Jeff Wilson, and Njoku or Henry. Half PPR. I think it's Njoku. Oh, God, I want to do that comparison actually quickly. And then Hunt, Gus, or Jeff Wilson. Yeah, I'd lean Gus over Hunt and Jeff Wilson. I still don't want to start Kareem Hunt because he's not at 100%, and Jerome Ford is going to play more than him. And then let's do this Njoku. Yeah, it's got to be Hunter Henry, I think, over Njoku. Even with Hunter Henry dealing with the injuries, it's actually pretty close. Better matchup by a lot for Njoku. Deshaun being back too. Honestly, this one is tough. I wouldn't say it's a lock by any means to go Henry over Njoku, but I still lean Hunter Henry over Njoku personally. Is Royce Freeman worth a running back spot? No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. Yes, let's talk about the Rams backfield because a lot of Rams backfield questions, a lot of uncertainty about the Rams backfield. And yeah, look, take it with a big grain of salt because there's a huge range of outcomes here with the backfield. But it sounds like it's going to be Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson leading the way. And Royce Freeman's not good. So I do not think he is a great option. I think Darrell Henderson's probably the better option in PPR leagues. But I think Royce Freeman probably going to lead the team in carries. All right. DK Metcalf, I'm not starting because he is dealing with 2 different injuries. 2 different injuries for DK Metcalf. Rib injury, hip injury. He's a game time decision. I'd prefer to stay away from DK Metcalf if possible this week. I'm playing Aaron Jones over Jerome Ford now that Kareem Hunt is active. Justice Hill or Craig Reynolds in a PPR league. It's got to be Justice Hill over Craig Reynolds. I do not trust Craig Reynolds at all. JT is a decent start today. I think his usage is only going up. He's only going up for JT. So yeah, I'm going with JT in a lot of spots today. I think went from like 15 to 44% snap share week over week, and I think he's going to get closer to 60% this week. Madison or Ramondre? I think I lean Mondre over Madison. Would you start Luke Musgrave over Darren Waller because of the wind? Yeah, I would. That's exactly why I have Darren Waller behind Luke Musgrave in my tight end rankings. It is because of the wind. It's also because Tyrod Taylor is starting for the Giants. And Luke Musgrave gets an ideal matchup today. Luke Musgrave is a really good option today. He gets the Broncos. They're allowing the most points to tight ends this season. Guys, they have not stopped tight ends this season. The Broncos allowed 10 points to Logan Thomas. They allowed a 27-point bomb to Cole Kmet. John Bates scored 8 points against them. Tyler Conklin dropped 11 points. Kelsey, of course, popped off against the Broncos with 22 points, over 120 yards and 9 catches in that one for Kelsey. So yeah, I like Musgrave a lot today against the Broncos. I think he's a pretty good option. Who should I start, DJ or Corinne? Yeah, so Corinne's out. You got to start DJ. Corinne is out. He's actually on IR. He's out the next 4 weeks. We're benching Terry McLaurin because he is in a game that's going to be impacted by the weather. There is significant weather to be aware of today. Weatherman Sam is here to help you. Commanders and Giants. Sustained winds around 20 miles an hour. Wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. Lions and Ravens, same thing. Sustained winds around 20 miles an hour. Wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. You thinking Addison shows out today? Not today, but tomorrow when Addison plays, I do think he shows out. I do like Addison a lot this week. Musgrave over Komet for me. I'm playing Puka over Devontae Adams, I think. Let me actually pull up the wide receiver rankings here. Yeah, I got Puka one spot ahead of Devontae Adams. And I think Devontae Adams is going to get absolutely peppered with targets, as he complained a lot this week. And I think that he's going to lead the team in targets by a lot. That's why I'm a little nervous about Jacoby Myers, but it's also Brian Hoyer. Don't feel great about that. Devontae Smith or DK. I'm going Devontae over DK because DK is a truly questionable game time decision in the late window today. Gabe Davis or Sutton. Yeah, that's a pretty close one. I think I lean towards Gabe Davis over Sutton, but it's close. Swift or Amari Cooper. Are you playing JSN if DK plays? Yeah, I'm still playing JSN. I don't think DK, even if DK plays, I don't think DK Metcalf is going to be at 100%. I think we're going to see maybe something similar to what we saw with Deebo Samuel over the last few weeks where he plays, but he is not going to be 100%. And he could even be used as a decoy like Deebo was. Should I pick up Hunt for B-Rob? No, I would keep B-Rob over Hunt. Carb, again, thanks for being a TikTok Live subscriber. I will get to every single TikTok Live subscriber question that comes. Swift or Amari Cooper, PPR. Yeah, it's a tough call here. Both guys. This is the first Swift question, Philip, I've actually seen. And we're over 2.5 hours into this live stream because DeAndre Swift is just such a locked-in option. He's a top 3 running back this week for me. I'd go Swift over basically everyone. And yeah, I would play him over Amari Cooper. Mike Evans, Pittman, or Christian Watson. Yeah, so I really like Christian Watson today against the Broncos. I think his ceiling is extremely, extremely high. I would play him over Michael Pittman and Terry McLaurin. And I forget who the other person was maybe in that question. But yeah, I like Christian Watson the most there. Christian Watson is my number 15 wide receiver this week. There's really not many guys I'm playing over Christian Watson. I'd play Tyler Lockett over Christian Watson. I would play Jordan Addison over Christian Watson. I'd play DJ Moore over Christian Watson, Amari Cooper over Christian Watson. And then, you can fill out the rest of the list yourself pretty easily with the top 10 wide receivers that I play over Christian Watson. But yeah, he's a good spot today against the Broncos for sure. Start Gibbs or Ford. Yeah, it's Gibbs for me over Ford, especially now that Kareem Hunt is active. I'm playing Musgrave over Jonnu Smith with a lot of ease for sure. Guys, we're getting towards the last 45 minutes of this live stream. I'm going to start going, people tell me I talk fast on these lives, but in the rapid fire section, I talk even faster when I try to get to really prioritizing getting to as many start sits as I possibly can in the last 30, 45 minutes. But guys, as always, the best way you can possibly support me and my entire brand is by downloading the WalterPicks app in the iOS and Android app store. It's free to download. It's going to get to all the start sits that I can and can't get to on this live. It's going to be custom to your league scoring settings. If you use creator code SAM when you sign up in the WalterPicks app, which again is free to install and try out, you'll also get a free 7-day free trial for all the premium features, which lets you sync your league for more personalized and custom insights for fantasy. Plus, there's tons of betting insights in the app too. So check out the WalterPicks app. Best way you can support me. All right, yeah, we're sitting Mike Evans because he's playing a top 5 defense against receivers this season. The Falcons allowing the 5th fewest points per game to receivers so far this year. Sam, crazy question here with the win. Can I start both Puka and Ayuk over Howell in a PPR Superflex? Absolutely. Absolutely you can. You can definitely start Puka and Ayuk over Howell in a PPR Superflex. I think that's very reasonable. Hey, Sam, love the app. Thanks, Ty. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out the WalterPicks app yet, guys, people love it. Check it out. All right, do I start Jacoby Myers with a backup QB or Deontay Johnson or Rashee Rice? Pick 2. Thanks for everything you do. Ty, thank you, man, for tuning in. Appreciate the positivity from you. Appreciate everybody in this live stream right now. And yeah, there's been a lot of Jacoby Myers questions today, and I get it. I do get it. It is kind of scary to start Jacoby Myers with Brian Hoyer starting. They do have some connection going back to their days on the Patriots together where Brian Hoyer was the backup there. But guys, Brian Hoyer has not had over 210 passing yards since 2017. He is not good. He is basically an offensive coordinator fronting as a backup quarterback. And I don't think that's good for Jacoby. I also don't think it's good for Jacoby that Devontae Adams complained all week about his targets. I think Devontae Adams is going to get way more targets than Jacoby Myers in this game today for that reason. I'm kind of buying into that narrative a little bit there. So yeah, I think I lean Deontay and then I have Jacoby at 1 spot behind Rashee Rice. So yeah, I'm going Rashee Rice over Jacoby Myers. I think the ceiling there is high enough that makes sense. I'd say the floor is probably still a little bit safer for Jacoby, but is it really with Brian Hoyer starting? So yeah, I go Rashee Rice there, and I bench Jacoby Myers. Pittman or Rice, full PPR. It's Pittman over Rice for me, even though Pittman has a tough matchup against the Browns. Tua or Purdy? Yeah, so it's Tua over Purdy. My quarterback rankings are pretty straightforward this week. Mahomes, Allen, Hurts. Those are the top 3. I actually have Hurts ahead of Allen. At 4, I got Justin Herbert. Then I got Lamar, despite the wind in that game. Think he can make up for the wind. Caleb, thanks for being a TikTok Live subscriber. We'll get to your question Appreciate the TikTok live subs. It's like $5, and you'll get all of your comments always answered from me. And then I got Purdy, Stafford, Watson at 8, 9, 10. I'm not starting Jared Goff. I'm not starting Sam Howell in any situations because both these games, guys, there's wind in these games. Sustained winds around 20 miles an hour, wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour in the Commanders and Giants game, in the Lions and Ravens game. So get off of the receivers, our wide receiver rankings. Yeah, if you come to the YouTube live, I got my top 25 wide receiver rankings. I think I have 40 wide receivers in my top 25 wide receiver rankings this week. And you can come to the YouTube live to see those on the screen right now. James, thank you for subscribing to the TikTok live. Seriously, appreciate the support from all of you so much, especially the TikTok live subscribers directly contributing to me and supporting me. Seriously, it means the world that you guys are willing to do that. And I will try to get to your comments. Okay. Gibbs, Puka, Waddle, pick 2. Yeah, I actually think you got to bench Gibbs in that one. And I really like Gibbs this week, but Puka and Waddle are both top 8 wide receivers. I'm playing Ayuk over Devontae Adams. Ayuk needs to be started. Why start Deontay? Because Deontay's always produced a high floor in PPR formats. He's always earned targets. And by all reports, he's back at full health. Alex, thanks for being a TikTok live subscriber. I do appreciate it. Need 2 of these, CMC, Mostert, or Swift. It's Mostert and Swift. It's Mostert and Swift over CMC. I feel sick just saying it. And CMC does look like he's going to play. But, I mean, Mostert and Swift are such elite options this week, especially Swift. Both these guys are top 5 running backs in my running back rankings. I got McCaffrey at 8 this week. Again, I feel sick putting McCaffrey not number 1. But he's not going to see his full role. He's still a top 10 running back, even at 50% of his role. But, yeah, I don't think you can start McCaffrey over elite options like Swift and Mostert. Both the Dolphins and Eagles games projected to be the highest scoring game of the week. We are benching Jared Goff because of the weather. Sustained winds around 20 miles an hour, wind gusts up to 30. It's going to be hard for him to have a huge passing day in this weather. I'm not playing Ford over CMC anymore with Kareem Hunt active. We're benching DK Metcalf because he might not play. He is truly questionable to play. He might not play today, DK Metcalf. And even if he plays, he is not at 100%. I'm very nervous about DK Metcalf. Sam, I need help. Zay Flowers, Jerome Ford, full PPR. Yeah, I still lean Jerome Ford over Zay Flowers, given the weather in that Ravens game and given the matchup for Jerome Ford. I think that makes sense. Walter, help. Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, Romeo Dobbs, or Deontay Johnson. Classic mistake. Do not worry about it. My name is actually Sam. Walter is the AI model that I helped build and that powers the WalterPicks app, which is a free app in the iOS and Android app store that helps you crush your fantasy league and it helps you crush in sports betting as well. And it's totally free. Also, if you use creator code SAM to support me when you install the WalterPicks app for the first time, you will get a free 7-day free trial to all the premium features in the WalterPicks app, which are super powerful, on top of all the free features in the WalterPicks app as well. So don't worry about it. My name is Sam. Walter's the AI model that powers the WalterPicks app. Anyways, Amari Cooper or Tyler Lockett. Yeah, this one's super close, I think. I got Amari Cooper 1 spot ahead of Tyler Lockett in my wide receiver rankings. So I lean Amari just slightly over Tyler Lockett, but I do really like Lockett with DK Metcalf at less than 100%. Romeo Dobbs or Deontay Johnson. I'd lean Deontay over Dobbs. This one's close too. I think both these guys are probably pretty close to my wide receiver rankings. But yeah, I lean Deontay, especially if this is a PPR format. Hey, Sam, Pickens, Judy, Myers. Feel like none of these guys will perform. Yeah, I'm pretty nervous about all of these guys. I bet at least one of them performs though. And yeah, I don't feel good about Pickens against the Rams with Deontay Johnson being back. Honestly, my gut is Judy over Jacoby Myers. I want to see where these guys, let's actually do this comparison here on the YouTube Live in the WalterPicks app real quick. All right. Purdy or Geno? Yeah, I go Purdy over Geno. Do I play Zay Flowers over Terry McLaurin? Absolutely. You got to play Zay over Terry. I'm playing Amari over Flowers as well. Again, the significant weather you need to be aware of today. There's sustained winds. 2 games with the same weather report. Sustained winds, 20 miles an hour. Wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour in the Commanders-Giants game and in the Lions and Ravens game. That's why I'm off of Goff and off of Sam Howell. Brian Robinson, McCaffrey, and JT, which 2 do I start? Yeah, it's McCaffrey and JT there, I think, over Brian Robinson. All right, we're going to do this comparison. Pickens, Judy, and Jacoby Myers. All of these guys are definitely pretty sketchy this week. Jacoby projects the best. Of course he does, just based on his past performances, and he also has the best matchup. It's Jacoby. It's Jacoby over Judy. It's Jacoby over Pickens, even with Brian Hoyer starting. Hopefully their Patriots connection can help them out this week. What about Musgrave? I'm going Musgrave over Kmet for sure. What prop do I pair sleepers discount of 65.5 reception yards with Diggs with? Yes, James, I really like the Jackson Smith and Jigba lines on Sleeper. Also, if you've never played on Sleeper before, guys, you get a 100% first deposit match on Sleeper if you use code Walter. If you use code Walter and you're depositing for the first time on Sleeper, they'll match your deposit up to $100. You deposit $100, you get a free $100 to play with. Definitely do that if you haven't yet. And it is also a great way to support me. But yeah, my favorite player props today is Jackson Smith and Jigba over 3.5 receptions and Jackson Smith and Jigba over 34.5 receiving yards. I like both of those a lot. I would go Tua over Purdy. CMC does look like he's going to play on Monday night. He is definitely startable now in most situations. I have him down at running back 8 this week because of the injury and because I don't think he's going to see 100% of his normal role, but he's still top 8 running back, even at like half of his role. All right, Musgrave or Laporta. Yeah, I got Laporta still one spot ahead of Musgrave despite the wind. Laporta has been too good, I think, to bench. You know, he's in that elite tight end category. Really, Laporta's on track, guys, to break all sorts of rookie tight end records for fantasy and for real football. So yeah, despite the better matchup for Musgrave, despite the better game environment and better weather report for Musgrave, I still think it is Laporta over Musgrave. But then it's Musgrave for me. I think I got Laporta at 6 and Musgrave at 7. Are any of the Rams running backs worth starting? Probably not. I mean, one of them might end up being okay, but it's a super risky play because they're going to be a true running back by committee. Zach Evans still might get involved. Royce Freeman is not good. And Darrell Henderson hasn't played in months, years maybe. So I think Henderson's the guy I'm most excited about. Because I think he's the best receiving upside. But yeah, all of them are pretty risky. I like Henderson the most. Bro, don't start JSN. Yeah, so we're starting JSN because, guys, for those paying attention and those looking at oh wow, what did I just do? Let me remove this for a sec. Those paying attention and those looking at the important stats, and we track the important stats for free. Everyone can see them in the WalterPicks app, in the game logs in the WalterPicks app, which again is free. It's the best way to support me is downloading the WalterPicks app. Link is in the TikTok bio and the YouTube description. But guys, if you're looking closely at some of these important stats in the game logs for Jackson Smith and Jigba, last week career high 70% snap share, career high 87% route percentage. He ran almost twice as many routes as he ran in almost every other game so far this season, and this was with a healthy DK Metcalf. He had 4 catches, 48 yards in a kind of difficult matchup, average matchup against the Bengals. Today, he gets a matchup against the Cardinals, who are allowing the 4th most points per game to receivers this season. DK Metcalf is more banged up this week. Yeah, fire up Jackson Smith and Jigba. I definitely think he has a high ceiling this week, and I do like his props a lot as well. Hey, Sam, Musgrave or Hawkinson? It's Hawkinson for sure. Yeah, so let me pull up the tight end rankings. I think the tight end rankings are pretty rock solid, at least at the top of the top 10. Kelsey, Hawkinson, Andrews. Then Kittle, then Goddard, then Laporta, then Musgrave. That's how I got my top 7. I'm playing all those guys over Darren Waller, who's at number 8, and Michael Myers at number 9. I like Musgrave more than Meyer. Myers getting all the hype, I feel like, in the media over the last week, but I think Musgrave's a better option than him this week. Puka or Gibbs? Yeah, you're not benching Puka Nakua. Amon-Ra or Ayuk? Oh, man, you got to start both those guys. I think I have Ayuk over Amon-Ra. Given the weather, I think that makes sense. I don't feel good about it, benching Amon-Ra ever, but yeah, I think Ayuk over Amon-Ra does make sense. For sure. Kirk Cousins, Josh Dobbs, and Gardner Minshew. Who do I start? Yeah, Caleb, thanks for being a TikTok Live subscriber. I will get to all TikTok Live subscriber comments. Kirk Cousins, Josh Dobbs, Gardner Minshew. Who do I start? Yeah, so I think I actually have Josh Dobbs ahead of Kirk Cousins by a couple spots. And let's see what Walter says. I don't love starting Josh Dobbs, of course. He doesn't have at least some rushing appeal over Kirk Cousins. Kirk without Justin Jefferson is definitely a little scary. Last week, Kirk Cousins had 8 points in a great matchup against the Bears. I think that game there was some significant wind, though, in that game, so we can throw that out a little bit. Yeah, I'm going Josh Dobbs over Kirk Cousins. I'm playing Josh Dobbs over Jared Goff and Sam Howell, too. Jesse, thanks for being a TikTok Live subscriber. Do appreciate it. Why are you sitting Hunt? Yeah, so I made this list before the live started like 3 hours ago, and I didn't think Hunt was even going to play. So he's not at 100%. Dean, thanks for being a TikTok Live subscriber. I appreciate you. I didn't even think Kareem Hunt was going to play. And wow, we just hit our TikTok Live subscriber goal. We're at 21 TikTok Live subscribers. That's super, super exciting. Appreciate all of you guys that did that. But yeah, Hunt is just not 100%. Jerome Ford's better than him. It's a better matchup. It's a good matchup for Hunt. But yeah, I just don't think he's 100%. He was questionable in this game, like truly questionable. Who's a better flex, Rice or Waller? Yeah, I'd lean Rice over Waller. I almost always lean non-tight ends over tight ends when faced with that decision. Okay. Kareem Hunt is active. Deshaun Watson is active. Jahmyr Gibbs is active. Juju is not active. Not that really matters much for the Pats. we're not going to get the DK Metcalf news before the end of this live. And I think he's truly questionable. Jalen Warren or Rachaad White, it's so close to call based off the app. I lean Rachaad White, I think, over Jalen Warren. Let me pull up my rankings here for the running backs, but Rachaad White is seeing more volume. Yeah, it's Rachaad White over Jalen Warren. They're close to my rankings too, only 2 spots apart. But I would go Rachaad White over Jalen Warren for sure. CMC or play it safe with Mostert. Yeah, play it safe with Mostert. If you have options like Mostert, DeAndre Swift, I'm fine going with them over CMC. But I have CMC at number 8. I have Mostert at number 4 in my running back rankings, which you can see right now for free on the YouTube Live. Link to that's in the TikTok bio. I'm playing Madison over DK. Oh, God, I mean, you can at least wait to see what the report is on DK for this one, I think, right? Because Madison plays Monday night. So if Metcalf is suiting up, I think that's a really close call. Obviously, Metcalf is out, you go Madison. But yeah, there's a real chance Metcalf doesn't play. He's not at 100% this week. Deontay Johnson or McLaurin. Yeah, you got to bench Terry McLaurin, guys. This weather is not good in this game. I would go Deontay Johnson over Scary Terry this week. JSN, DJ Moore, Josh Palmer. Yeah, I'm going DJ Moore and JSN over Josh Palmer. McLaughlin or Jeff Wilson Jr., James, from the TikTok Live subscriber, James, in the TikTok Live. And God, man, I mean, I just don't want to start Jaleel McLaughlin, but there's such a huge question mark with Jeff Wilson. I think this one's, I think you got to go Jaleel. You got to go Jaleel. You got to start guys over Jeff Wilson this week. There's just so much uncertainty there. I mean, he could get like best case scenario, I feel like for Jeff Wilson is like 30%, 35% of the work. Thank you so much, Sam. Truly amazing in my eyes. You do God's work. Brian, appreciate you, man. Thanks for the positivity. No, I just realized the Kelsey stash is gone. Oh, God. That's not a good sign for Kelsey with the stash gone. We'll see how that impacts him this week. We're monitoring the Travis Kelsey stash storyline. All right, Deontay Johnson or Tyler Lockett. Yes, Lockett over Deontay. I'm playing JSN over Wandale pretty easily with the win projected in the Giants game. We got Zay, JSN, or Rashee Rice. Let me tilt this back a tiny bit here. Worried about the wind too. Yeah, I'm worried about the wind as well. I think it's JSN over Zay, and then it's Rashee Rice. I would go JSN, Zay, then Rashee Rice. But yeah, I am playing JSN over Zay Flowers today. JSN over Myers. Yep, I'm playing JSN over Myers as well. I need a flex in PPR. Jesse, I got you. Start Bourne, Musgrave, Atwell. Let's do this comparison on the YouTube Live. I think it's Bourne, then Musgrave, then Atwell. With Juju out too, that makes me just feel a little bit better at Bourne, who's definitely the best receiver the Patriots have. I do really like Musgrave today, though, so that's why I want to do this comparison. And yeah, it's Bourne just barely. It's Bourne over Musgrave. I like Musgrave as a tight end, but just not as a flex. I don't like playing 2 tight ends in flex. And yeah, I'm going with Bourne over Musgrave today. It's a close one, though. I'm playing Musgrave over Meyer. I'm not playing Musgrave over any of the elite tight ends, though. So my tight end rankings are as follows. Travis Kelsey 1, Hawkinson 2, Andrews 3, Kittle 4, Goddard 5, then Laporta, then Musgrave. So I'm playing Laporta, Goddard, Kittle, Hawkinson, Andrews, Kelsey, all over Musgrave. Then it's Musgrave. I'm playing Musgrave over Darren Waller. I'm playing Musgrave over Michael Mayer. I'm playing Musgrave over Kyle Pitts, over Gerald Everett, over Cole Kmet, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, all of the above. But yeah, he's my number 7 tight end. Okay. JSN or Myers? It's JSN for me. Sam Howell, Russell Wilson, Josh Dobbs, pick one. Njoku or Michael Mayer, full PPR. Yeah, so I'm fully off of Sam Howell. I'm mostly off of Jared Goff because of the weather in those games with the wind. I think I would go Russ over Dobbs. Yeah, and then Njoku or Meyer. Yeah, I'm going Meyer over Njoku. I do think Njoku maybe should be a little higher up in my rankings after looking at some of his numbers. I'm trying to be like Sam when I grew up. He's been here since 8 a.m. my time. Also, Javonte and McLaughlin the rest of the season. Yes, definitely Javonte rest of the season. And I appreciate you, Yajma. Yeah, I'm really, just so happy to get to do this every Sunday morning. It's one of my favorite things. And I got stamina for these lives, man. We've been 3 hours in. Samster, start one, London, Rice, or Gibbs. It's Gibbs. It's got to be Gibbs. It's got to be Gibbs over guys like this, London and over Rice. Biggest rival, Christian Watson, Mike Evans, or Michael Pittman. I love the content. Have a good stream. Thanks, man. Check down Charlie. It's Christian Watson versus Michael Pittman here for me over Mike Evans. Mike Evans is on my must bench list this week just because he has a really tough matchup. And yeah, it's Christian Watson. It's Christian Watson over Michael Pittman. The matchups here are just not comparable. I mean, they're stone cold opposite matchups. And again, I've said it a few times on this live, but I don't think there's a better situation for an NFL team in general to be in than you get the bye week. And then after the bye week, you get to play the Denver Broncos. I mean, I really think the spread should be bigger here in this game. And they're only 1-point favorites, the Packers, against the Broncos in this one. Yeah, it's got to be Christian Watson here. Look at the differences in the matchups. The Browns are the best possible defense against receivers this season. They're the worst defense for your receivers to play in fantasy. They've been so good. The Browns, I think, maybe have the best defense in the league. I'd lean towards them being the best defense in the league. And then the Broncos have been horrible against every position. They rank 21st against receivers this season. So yeah, go Christian Watson over Michael Pittman. And Mike Evans also has a tough matchup against the Falcons today. All right, guys, here's the deal. YouTube Live. We are going to be going fully to the TikTok Live for the next 30 minutes. The last 30 minutes of the live stream, we're going to go rapid fire in the comment section in the TikTok live stream. Everyone in the YouTube Live, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you aren't going to follow us to the TikTok Live, remember the free player prop today, JSN over 3.5 receptions, over 34.5 receiving yards. I'll pull up the DraftKings lineup here in a second. And keep in mind, again, if you don't follow to the TikTok Live, we'll talk about this in just a second, the wind is going to impact the Lions and the Ravens game and the Giants and the Commanders game. So be careful with the passing attacks in those games. Guys, time is the most valuable thing we have. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I'll be back live on YouTube Thursday night. Again, I'll be live for the next 30 minutes still on TikTok. If you want to ask any more questions, I'll be going rapid fire for the start sit decisions there, guys. Have a great one. Thanks so much for tuning in and good luck today.